Even when American Eagle came out and was like, they gave their "We Stand on Business" official statement behind Sweeney.
You gonna stand on losing money because the
So,
white people lying to you.
I said, well, first of all, we're dealing with a grocery and gasoline culture. American Eagle does not fit into no one's budget. Nowhere. Nowhere. Nobody's saying
it's an emotional buy that will drop and decline as you stated.
And you're advertising, and you have this. Let's be real about the type of white girl they put there. The type of white girl they put in there was to placate to white male racists, who their idea of a submissive woman is. Was she speaking in that? Oh,
and that's why she ain't said a fucking word to this day.
Yeah,
because she is to be seen and not heard.
Right, because
it's in the genes.
It's in the genes, and you know how they go. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah, right. But they don't go out and buy American Eagle jeans.
Sweeney is a pimp too, because we talk about how the black celebrities do it, the white celebrities do it too.
Absolutely.
Kid Rock and Joe Rogan had all these stupid white people boycotting Budweiser. Then they said, "Stop, guys! We got paid by Budweiser. We love the beer.
Money.
They got the money."
It was their Kevin Hart Starbucks moment. Hey man, listen, y'all go back and drink some coffee. I got the money. It's okay.
And then Kid Rock started dissing his own audience. Look, I told you, motherfuckers, that we good with Budweiser now. Okay, boycott over.
So if you look at everything right now. Wherever they're and I like what you said. You talked about this theory over reality, and it's a stupid theory because then here's the thing: they do this, and they're like, "Why in Q4 we lost money around Christmas, bro? You spent the previous 3 quarters fucking all your customers over, you know." And it's like, even if you want to do that in America, you got interracial households, you got blended families. Like they're just going to by default, bro. What is this?
Because they don't have.
They don't have disposable income. It's just like when they said everybody go buy a Tesla. Oh, okay, dog. I'll just jump on that real quick. No fucking go buy a Tesla. I'm trying to buy milk and eggs.
You're right. You're right.
And see what Elon got in his favor is the dark part of the government, the military industrial
and China.
And China paying his bill.
China cracks me up because China needs Tesla to exist so that it can do all of the advanced shit that it is doing.
Yeah.
So if you notice, as Tesla has been going through its you know, everyone, when it looks really shaky, all of a sudden China is like, China just announced a $47 billion deal with Tesla. And I'm over here cracking up because, you know, Tesla's investors are like, thank God. That shit, first of all, it's a Band-Aid for y'all. You're going to be in the red and again in just a second. Also, they are pimping the shit out of you all. First of all, their self-driving cars are better. Their is better. But that 47, million, billion, whatever the investment is that China makes into Tesla is a benefit. It's an investment on them, on their tech, on what they are doing. You are the prototype, or you are a mechanism that is developing one little thing where they're like, yep, we need that thing for our thing. And that's where globalization comes back to bite you, because that mutual benefit has an expiration for China.
That is true. I remember.
So it has an expiration for Tesla, and China's going to be in the winning position, and Tesla is still going to be fucked where it is and where it's going to be for the next 2 to 3 years, unless they get rid of that motherfucker. That's another one like Target that cannot come back from what it is that they have done. Cannot.
Yeah, they're trying to be slick because they want to see if Elon can survive. And can he survive long enough where we get into the self-driving Teslas,
automation,
where it's contracted through government.
Mm-hmm.
But
their problem is he can't get him to shut up. Even when they're like, okay, we're good. Then all of a sudden he's like, president's in the Epstein files, dog. I was like, oh shit.
He's like, I changed my mind.
Yeah, it's time to fuck around.
He's
him and the ketamine wore off. I'm itchy. I'm angry. Give me my phone. He's in the Epstein files. I just, on the one hand, it's alarming as hell that this is the leadership and the influence in our country. But on the other hand, it's fucking hilarious. Like the first time he tweeted about the Epstein files, honestly, I was actually kind of irritated because I was like, this is going to be kind of like a flash in the pan, and I don't appreciate him playing with it. But now that the Epstein files have come back around and it's a thing, it's like a real thing. And he'll just tap in every once in a while to just kind of needle it just to remind people, you know. I'm like, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that they don't. This is why the theory of the thing doesn't work.
Well, the technocrats basically saying we have blackmail on Trump.
Yeah,
Right. And you cannot control the human factor.
No,
you
because
cannot control the human emotion of somebody saying, I'm butthurt either by the sanctions or the policy or the tariffs or we're not friends anymore or whatever. But I am a literal trillionaire and I own a platform where I've changed the fucking algorithm and the code to that when I tweet something, the billions of people that use my platform are forced to see what I said. And I'm talking about your ass. That is a variable that you can't plan for. And those are the kinds of things where I'm just like, they're going to continue to fuck themselves because they're going to continue to have stuff like this. When they have people that, you know, falls out of favor with the president and has any kind of favor or following, they eat themselves.
No, you're right about that. And
they eat themselves. My camera is going to go off, but I'm still perfectly here.
Okay. Yeah. What they, well, historically, the downside is like, you know, the Legion of Doom is still the Legion of Doom. They cooperate with trying to get the Justice League out of here until they remember why they don't like each other, or because you're dealing with the egoism, right? So Trump and Elon, come on, man, that was bound.
I knew that wasn't going to be good the second it kicked off.
that was going to happen. And so, like, when he first talked about the Epstein files, I knew that wasn't going to go away because from the 4chan space all the way through the Alex Jones InfoWars audience, to the first time Trump got in office, to the Bannonism and the BIE and all this other stuff, these conversations have always been floating in on the back end about draining the swamp, the grand conspiracy. Ellen and Hillary Clinton both made Pizzagate, written by and directed by Spike Lee Obama. So, you know, when he dropped that out there, I knew that was going to be a shitstorm, because you had to think about the Rogan sphere, the Bro podcast space, when they was going to pick up on it and start talking about it. So they've been trying to walk this stuff back, but a lot of this stuff they've been trying to distract the public by triggering the classic war brigade, you know, black people in DC or BIE or whatever, anything pertaining to black folks, while also at the same time trying to circumvent what's going on with the economy. So American Eagle, they're doing their eugenics program campaign. You seen it with Dunkin' Donuts when the boy was talking about genetics and donuts, and it sounded like a disgusting commercial.
It was actually nasty.
Yeah, because I'm like,
the jeans one, whatever, but don't be talking about the shit with food and
shit. Hey, you want me to tell you why we eat black people? To make donuts. Like it's it's weird shit. So and so they were trying to start these online campaigns, which let me know that they've put in their art directing spaces, or at least sympathizers to these spaces, were millennial white males and Gen Z white males. It's like when we saw the head of Kamala Harris's online media campaign, they were all Gen Z white girls. And I said, oh, so that's why the campaign online wasn't impactful.
I'm telling you, a lot of them Gen Zers are not good with campaigns.
Yeah, so we just said,
don't be matching.
Yeah,
the product.
Yes, also, for you as a strategist too, by the way, ABSA, because we wanted to ask you, what was your? Because you asked this question, we wanted to ask you, like, what was your? What are your thoughts aside the details of the lawsuit, but like what you're seeing with? I'm going to ask you first about Drake as a brand, and then secondly, the campaign of what you're seeing with like the Democrats and how it just seems like they keep falling apart or falling by the way. But I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about this very this conflicting cognitive dissonant driven campaign of Drake, the lawsuit, and then how the culture is receiving it? And you as a strategist, like, what are some of the things that perk up in your mind when you see like just some of the energy out there right now with
it? Well, the Drake brand is Creative Commons poppy. That's at the stage that it's at right now. He doesn't have any control over it. Everybody else does.
That's a good point.
And so it's like everything else that we've been talking about when it comes to like globalism and capitalism. Drake is a useful tool for others. And so the Drake brand that, again, has been completely commodified by a narrative that he can't control is more beneficial to other people at this point than it is beneficial to him. I don't think he has any real strong conviction about what he wants his brand to be other than, the biggest and most popular and the most streamed and stuff like that. That's not a brand that you can hang your hat on and that's going to last forever. So for me, he's always been short-sighted on the branding side. So it wasn't a surprise to me how easy it was for Kendrick to hijack it. And then in terms of the impact of and the fallout from the lawsuit and kind of what's happening in the discourse of it, I think that for me, the overwhelming lesson that I want people to take from the situation, because I always say, like, I'm talking about rap and hip hop and controversy, but I'm never really talking about those things. And so the thing that I want people to actually really focus on and take away that they can apply to their lives is that, number one, and these are kind of some of my life laws. Number one, there's two kinds of people in the world, people who get it and people who don't. And that's what we see in this lawsuit, in the public discourse. There's people who get it and there's people who don't get it. The second thing is that people do what works for them. And Drake is doing what works for them. So people who are on this whole, like, why? What about? People do what works for them. You have to understand that. You don't have to agree with it. But if you understand it, it puts you in a better position when you are going up against said person in your life. So that's critical. You have to understand and honor and respect that what is working for them works for them. And that's their reality. And that's the reality you're going to have to deal with if they're fucking with you. So you can't stay in your own ego morality space of this is crazy. That's irrelevant. And you'll put yourself on the back foot if you're stuck sitting back going, but why, but why, but why? Never underestimate stupid people with a plan. That's life law number 3. Never underestimate stupid people with a plan, especially if they have the resources to affect that plan. They might not leave here with what they initially set out to get, but they leave in here with something. And they will sabotage themselves to try and make somebody else suffer in the process of trying to get what they want. They don't give a shit. And so for me, it really is like separating the pearls from the swine. In the culture, people are really showing themselves and who they are, whether it's because Drake sued or because Kendrick said, watch the party die. I think all of those things are intertwined and people are identifying themselves, whether they realize it or not. They are showing who they actually are, and you have to believe them when they show you that. And then there's also just the let go of the parasocial longing and lust that you have for these people that you perceive to be prettier, richer, more successful, whatever the thing is. Like, they're just people too. They have faults too. They fuck up too. And if you don't hold them to account as normal people, then they get into a space where they think they're above it all and nobody can check them. And that's the monster that is Drake running through the culture right now. Nobody can check him. He can sue whatever. He can say shit like rap is weird right now. He can hang out with demonstrated racists, who support this administration and therefore support, hurting Black and brown people. Like, all of those things are connected, and we can see who's going to pick a side and stand on business and who is going to fucking J-fold 5 down and be like, I don't know. When it hits the fan and you're looking at like who is an actual ally, it will be pretty fucking clear at that point. But you have to realize that people will be looking at you the same way. They'll be looking at what you did, at what you said, at where you stood. Did you flip or not? Were you willing to take heat when other people disagreed with you because it was the right thing and you were standing on business? Or are you a weak ass who can be used by somebody who, is perceived to have more power and influence? Or did you resist that and stand on business? And I think that separation is great. I think that one of the problems that we have is that we largely live in a polite society where people don't honestly say what they think. And for a lot of these, white folks out here, whether they're in positional power or they're just squawking on their corner of the internet, I'm like, I know you want to say nigger. And I kind of wish folks would just bring it back. Just say what you want to say and make it clear to everybody where the fuck you stand. Because some people need that level of, wait, what the fuck did he just say? Before they realize, oh, you are not an ally to me. You would actually harm me, my people, my children, my family. We need to be able to see that more. And I think that people have spent so much time playing with the culture and playing with us as a people that they think there's no consequence to that. And whether it's your album sales dip or people post memes about you, or we just consistently talk about how you fucking lost that shit, Drake, you will suffer the consequences for it eventually. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what initially comes to mind.
I feel you laid it out eloquently, because that's the truth. And I would just say the first thing that came to mind too, after what you laid out there, I was also going to add, and we get to see if people who are the victor of this be consistent with their principles, or was it just for their own pockets as well? Yes. We're gonna figure that out by how people react. Are you gonna go into the same type of energy where Drake is and how he ruled for 15 years? Or are you gonna stand on it? And we're not gonna be doing the same thing like Charlemagne, and we're not gonna keep doing the same thing like with the Fantanos or with the white hipsters. We're gonna see if people gonna really stand on it as well and be consistent to what they preach during the battle.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's another episode of Animal Farm,
right.
So,
and
laid it out. Go ahead.
To your question about, what's going on with the Democrats right now. Everything is a micro macro. It's exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats are going through the exact same thing that the GOP is going through, that the culture is going through, that society at large is going through, which is actually, who the fuck are you? Actually, what the fuck do you stand on? And they cannot agree. And so that's why they're in shambles and continue to be in shambles. And I, don't have a problem telling you that behind closed doors, we're cussing each other out on a regular basis. Because the issue that we have here in society, and what you just said a couple minutes ago of like, no, we're going to be looking to see what you stood on. Did you stick with the da-da-da-da-da? And we're tired of these same things coming back around like, oh, Fantano got caught doing something again. Like in the year that I've been on YouTube, people have come to me, ABSA, oh my God, guess what Fantano did? I'm like, don't care. Don't want to know. And why are you still watching this SS foot soldier? After he did it the last time? How do you even know he did it this time? Well, because I saw it, so you still watch him. That's more interesting to me than he did it again. Of course he did it again. That's who the fuck he is. You're still watching. That is the problem to me. And so it's the people having discernment discretion. I always tell people, make the algo your bitch. Not interested, don't show, block, etc., etc. It is possible to do that. I didn't know what the motherfucker said because he's not in my line of sight on my algo. Anywhere I go, no idea. Didn't know Drake dropped a song. The last 3 songs he's dropped, nowhere in my line of sight on my algo. People have to come and tell me. And even then, I'm not going to fuck up my algo and go look at what it is. So there's a lot of people who are just like this idea of, and I heard this a lot when the Lupe thing happened, and just get this a lot. Well, it's inevitable, motherfucker. I will fight to the death.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna roll over into it's inevitable. No, fuck that. You are the deer that when he sees the lion peeping him out, you just lay down. Y'all ever see those when you ever see a deer go after a gazelle? I mean, a lion go after a gazelle, and it barely touches the gazelle, and the gazelle's like, oh shit, I guess he got me. And then you see other gazelles that are like, I don't fucking think so. And by any means necessary, they're jumping away. They're ripping their hoof out of the claws. Like, I don't fucking think so. But we got a whole bunch of people who are like, oh God, it touched me. I guess I'm dead. No, you're going to have to fight me and chase me till I die. I am not willing to roll over into well, it's inevitable. No. And so the discourse around that and just seeing the greater like viewers challenge each other, challenge creators and saying like, this is no longer good enough. 2 years ago, I was fine with this biscuit head bullshit. Today, everything has changed. I've changed. I'm growing. I'm thinking of things differently. And you're not. You're still on the same shit that you were last time I checked in and last time so same thing is happening in politics. Whereas we have, we live longer. Our generations live longer. So as organizers and strategists, we know that we are dealing with things that the generation of organizers and strategists before us tried to deal with 5-10 times in their lifetime. We heard about it. And now we're in it. We're trying to deal with the same shit you didn't address. And now we've been in the game long enough that we know these things have come up just while we've been here 5-10 more times. We've had the same discourse. You chickened out on the same shit. We haven't gotten the same progress that we have been signaling needs to happen within the Democratic Party. And I'm not a Democrat, just for anybody who's wondering. My ass is fully independent. But nevertheless, and I work on both sides of the aisle when it's reasonable. Nevertheless, I wind up working with Democrats more. So we can literally now behind closed doors say, we've had this fucking conversation. And that's what a lot of is happening right now is, motherfucker, we've had this conversation. What do you mean? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of anger and there's a lot of, the leadership and power within the Democratic Party is old white men, just like the power in the GOP is old white men. And so the battle is still the same. It is, you saw George Clooney go on a late night show and write an op-ed to the New York Times saying, the Democrats are just too old. We need young blood. They wanted a white male, young white male. Super donors aren't going to donate to this old man. As soon as they got a younger black woman, the same day those super donors came out and said, we're not giving her money. You ain't heard her platform. You don't know what she stands for. You don't know who she's going to pick as a running mate. You heard her name and said no. That's Target. That's Target. So within the Democratic Party, you've got people going, wait, I thought you said we needed some younger blood. Now we went and got younger blood. What's wrong with that blood? Oh, it's not white.
It's black.
It's black. And so my first political related video on my channel was basically saying to George Clooney, how fucking dare you say we need younger leadership in the Democratic Party, because younger leadership has been screaming that in the Democratic Party for the last 40 years. And everybody who's in positional power in the Democratic Party, this is at the national level, at the state level, at the grassroots level in your backyard, has been saying, you don't have enough experience. Wait a couple more years. The majority of the people who they were telling that to, Black and brown people. in politics saying, I'm ready, or this is what needs to happen, who pretty much, for a long time had their pulse on the people and what needed to happen within the party and what the party needed to do policy wise when in power, and never fucking did it. So now you actually have an exodus from the Democratic Party. You've got people who are saying, I tried for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years to work within the system to help you. This most recent election and how you white fucking people have conducted yourselves let us know that you also don't give a shit about black and brown people.
Even Bernie being against reparations, like you for everything else but not reparations, bro. Like what the fuck?
You for everything, but and you're for everything until it comes to codifying it into law. You're for everything until it comes to actually amending the Constitution. You're for everything up until a point. And so the Democratic Party has lost on every front that supports the people for the past 30 years. And the reason they lost is because they refuse to have a fucking spine, because the ones who have the morality complex is the Democrats. No, we're doing it because we're good. We want people to agree because it's the right thing to do. And what I've realized is there is no right or wrong. Nobody is the villain in the story when they're telling the story. And so that's not going to cut it. It hasn't cut it, and it's not going to cut it in the future. So I don't know what's going to happen to the Democratic Party. I don't think that they have a viable candidate for the next election. I think what's probably going to happen is that the far right that's in control is going to offend the more moderate Republicans and the more moderate Republican base. And they're going to say, we're tired of this. We want our farm bill back and all this other stuff. And they will vote for a moderate Republican as the next president. And somebody will rise up because they are already planning, what to do when MAGA wears out, right? So yes. They're already planning for who they're actually going to float that people will vote for. And because the Dems don't have anybody and the Democratic base is pissed at the Dems, they'll vote for that Republican, just like moderate Republicans voted for Obama.
That is absolutely true. No, that is a great point. Yeah, I was just curious about that because Sid and I, we do understand, you're a political strategist, with behind the scenes and everything, and we see campaigns all the time that are happening online, and even before Drake entered this battle, we made assessments about what was going to be coming down Drake's way, but also his brand is not the best going into the battle. You're having one artist come off of a 4-album, like a bad 4-album run. One of them is a double disc, then that was extended to a triple disc because he had an extension package that came along with it. Then you had another guy that is just basically he's on a 96 Bulls 2-time 3-peat with albums and Pulitzer Prize and awards and concerts.
Lifestyle rappers always run into a brick wall with artists. That's what happened with Jay-Z with Nas. Yeah, Nas could have made it worse for Jay-Z, but he gave grace.
Yeah, because Super Ugly was just that. It was that ugly when he came back out. Yeah. And the other thing about it too, Jay-Z was at a disadvantage because I don't think he understood how nasty Nas was going to get with him. He knew Nas was deadly, but by then people said Nas was washed up, but he was dealing with his mother's death and they bootlegged him and everything. I think the reason why I said the Drake situation was going to be worse than Ja Rule, and people thought I was over-exaggerating at the time. They thought we was over-exaggerating. I said, because temperamentally, who is Drake? We've seen when Rihanna's on her 8th kid that he's still dissing her. Yep. What Kendrick has the capability of doing to him is going to be much worse than Pusha T, who is in effect in rap his elder, and Pusha T is one half of a group that's very popular, but as a standalone artist, although he's lyrically capable of doing damage, and he did do some, it's far less than the platform. It's always about the stage. It's like when somebody's coming at you, say, Charlie, man, let's get up on that stage and battle, and let's see who can win the crowd over it.
When Cameron went after Jay-Z, he's like, okay, yeah. But when Nas did it, this is why people even still refer to the Foxy Brown allegations or the R. Kelly allegations with Jay-Z. It all stems from Nas ether, and also what he was saying on the radio. And I was at the time, because people get mad at our platform. I'm like, we didn't come up with this shit. We just remember what people say.
Remember Nazavelli.
Nas was like, R. Kelly was messing with young girls, and you kept making music with him.
And Jay-Z was in the studio. I know he had to see something.
Yeah, that's what Nas was saying.
Yeah, so we just said, like, with the brand assessment. Now, what was interesting is that's when we knew, because we hear things about how bad the rap industry is, like, economically. But Sid and I really understood how bad it was is when Kendrick dropped Euphoria, and a lot of industry heads, particularly on the East Coast, were saying, nah, it's not good enough. He's late. 17 days.
Well, that's also because because it's an underlying little war that's taking place. Mace and Cameron also have issues with Jay-Z because they said Jay-Z blocked them from a Fanatics deal. So it's a bit of messiness. It's not just only about Kendrick versus Drake. It's also about the Rock Nation, anti-Rock Nation, Desert. A lot of messiness. And there are a lot of people who are not good on both sides that are fighting each other.
But you know what that means, too? To keep this real? What it is like, it's still showing you, like, the economic pie behind the scenes is small. So if Jay-Z blocks me out of a Fanatics deal, and my podcast is based on sports, that's a good look for us, right? Okay, well, I'm going to try to go over to Drake. Oh, wait, he lost a battle to Kendrick, which historically a lot of guys in rap music is not just your reputation, but you do take a cultural dip. People forget. It's just Jay-Z was an American black Brooklyn nigga. So he made his loss look a lot better than what Drake is going through right now. Right. Blueprint 2, people still said it's not as good as the first Blueprint, but they gave it like 3 mics. They said it's decent. He was still taking shots at Nas. He was like, "It's Oh Me Ice, a black girl lost," and he was just like, "Yo, Nas is a hypocrite."
He picked it up and he moved on.
He picked up and he dropped the Black Album. I saw all of the women come outside. Tom, I want to go to the Blackout album concert, and he's giving away Mercedes Benz and shit like that. But he was able to move forward. But also, Sid and I, we talked about this. That was when hip hop was at its most commercialized. So Jay-Z could always say, even Nas, he hadn't been selling well when Stillmatic came out. People forget that album went double platinum. Mm-hmm. So now Jay-Z had a double disc album that still, I think it sold 2 million records, Blueprint 2, and then he did like Blueprint 2.1. But if you notice, you had Nelly running around, you had Eminem, and then Wu-Tang was selling. Like all these regional acts, Cash Money, Lil Wayne. It was like, this is where you have the height of commercialism. Then you had the big pop, and then you started hearing, well, we got to go to ringtones. And then this is when the SoundCloud rappers come in. The problem is, a giant tree like Drake, a giant corporate tree like Drake, took a huge L. There's a lot of people that were surviving, at least being attached to his culture.
Right. When they couldn't make money with Jay-Z, like let's say if Jay-Z blocked them, whether he was doing something negative or positive.
Right.
Yeah. If you get blackballed by Jay-Z, then you're gonna go to Drake. Yeah. If you get it used to be Diddy too, but Diddy's in prison currently, right?
and also R. Kelly. Unremarkably, also R. Kelly was another one where it was like, nigga, sing on this. Right. Put out a bop for people to swing to. But go ahead.
Okay, I'll just say this because I really want to hear your thoughts on this. It's a resource competition that's happening right now because it's not 100% about hip hop, even though there's some upside. Because we seen Jid, we liked the Clips album and all that, but it's still a level of kind of finessing because you can still promote people like Cardi B who don't write nothing, and she's not an MC. She's pretty much on like a welfare, you could say, in the arts, right? But it's really about everybody's fighting for resources, even with the NFL thing. So Jay-Z undercuts Kaepernick, Nicki trying to undercut Jay-Z. And being nice to Jerry Jones, it's like it's so fucked up.
Game of Thrones.
It's a Game of Thrones.
Crazy.
Who can get
That's
access?
A good way to put it. A Game of Thrones is a good way to put it. But I think also that there's different levels to the thrones, right? Because it's like I look at the Drake brand as like when we talk about capitalism and corporations and things like that, they're like the new money McMansion on the block. They had enough to get on the block and build their little McMansion. But when you compare them to everybody who's been there and who designed the block and who's got an actual mansion, Drake hit a glass ceiling long before the beef. And I've said this from the very, very beginning, and this was kind of the focus of my very first video. And I think it comes to pass that, we see it on display now more than ever, is that I never paid attention to Drake. I was never his demographic, even when he was hot. And my kids would have been the demographic for him, and they didn't listen to him. So he never came into my house. I paid attention to Drake because I pay attention to media. And one of the things that I noticed about Drake was that, yes, he had a very strong social media presence, but he actually didn't have a very strong media presence where the adults play. He's not in Fast Company. He's not in the business section. And you've never seen him sit down with reputable mainstream media. He has never been, when people hit literally everybody who pops onto the scene and then it's clear they're going to become a super duper megastar, they have a conversation with Anderson Cooper for a 60 Minutes bit. They're on something on CNN. Some mainstream reporter, not music reporter, is following them around for 6 stops on their tour and got their cameras behind. Drake has never done that. And for me, as a strategist who deals with primarily, like messaging and how you create a thing so people perceive it a certain way, to me, that was indicative that this is a man who has problems and secrets, because he's not trying to be elusive. He has a massive social media presence. That's where he curates and protects his persona. He's staying away from particular media. And that's your choice. You can do that. You can say, I'm not going to fuck with the, reputable mainstream media. Okay. You know when you need them? When you have a crisis. When you need to cultivate your relationship with them? Before you have a crisis. When they won't help you? When you have a crisis. Yeah. So I knew going in that he didn't have key assets to get himself out of the situation, and that it was too late for him to develop those assets to get himself out of the situation. And I have a lot of people who come to my channel who are like, Drake has a marketing team. The fuck he does. No, he does not. His partnerships have marketing teams that are paid for by the other side. Drake does not use PR. He is not consulting with. He has not hired. He has not handed over. He is not strategizing with. The last time Drake strategized with a PR campaign around crises was, I can tell you exactly when.
I study rap battles for a living.
That was the very last time Drake worked with a crisis management team to shape up his image and retake control on the narrative about something that had happened with his life. And that was the world discovering through the story of Adidon that he had a child that we were not privy to. Everything he did upon that being found out, you can tell he's working with crisis comms. They're placing him in certain places and he's sitting down and seemingly giving thoughtful, in-depth interview. That's the last time. And you haven't seen anything remotely close to that today. I'm perfectly confident saying he is not working with PR crisis. He is in his victimhood. So why does he need PR crisis if he's under attack and it's not fair and blah, 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 blah. And they're keeping me from the #1 spot. And it's because I'm light skinned and da-da. There's no PR team that is, in order to work with crisis communications, we have to know that the client is going to allow us to develop a plan, that they are going to hand over certain assets, and they are going to get out of the fucking way. And part of that means shutting the fuck up. And if I have somebody who is coming to me and they have a crisis and I go out and I just, because I do have people that will come to me because they have a crisis and they need help. The first thing I do without them knowing is I go and do research on them and I see how they have comported themselves in the public eye in the past. And if you do not have the self-restraint to shut the fuck up, I will not work with you. because that's key to being able to affect your strategy so that you win and you get the outcomes that you want. And one of the strongest assets that Kendrick has is self-discipline.
I agree.
17 days is I'll do it when I'm ready. And nothing you say in the interim matters. I'm not even paying attention. It's not coming across my line of sight. I'm not going to get distracted by it.
I agree with you 100% because when I look at it, if you're going to not deal with mainstream, then you have to work anti-establishment in a really great way. The way actually you got to give credit like how Trump did it. Even though he's full of shit, he still works with the establishment, but he was able to paint in media anti-establishment very well. With Drake is like you say it, but you're not showing full commitment to it. And
but you're not it. Yep.
Right. And then you're undoing it sometimes with your tantrums. Like if there's a way to make, oh, everybody's coming against me. Like it should have been an easy media play when Jay-Z's coming after you, allegedly, right?
Right.
But to your point, it's like there's an impulsive nature to keep being in the middle. And he definitely doesn't have a PR team or a strategist around him, because even the angle that was favorable for you at the beginning of the battle, you even lost that. So so to your point, he's definitely not listening to other people or other strategists. He's actually at this point, he put all of his baskets in this lawsuit. So if he doesn't find any bots for Not Like Us, if none of these things are discovered, you really put your entire career on this lawsuit. And if nothing comes through for you, then that's the nail in the coffin.
Well, the other side of it too, and I actually agree with both of you all. One of the reasons why, I used to joke with Sin a lot. I don't feel he has, as you say, the PR team or how his handlers. Because sometimes when people think handlers, they think like, oh, it's a conspiracy of Illuminati controlling you. No, sometimes it's just people that can handle communicating a message that works on behalf of your brand better than you can, right?
Because that's what they do for a living, and they're the experts in that area.
They handle, what needs to be done for you. I've always felt for a long time, I felt like he's operated like a rogue planet, a very large rogue planet, but nonetheless rogue. And the reason why I know that, like, for instance, because, I did rhymes and all this other stuff. Look, I did say, look, there are things that you can extract and use against Kendrick Lamar publicly. Now, do I think Drake has the best team around him to be able to extrapolate those things? Like, let's do some research. Other than is he the father of his children, which is just like the craziest take to have, because Kendrick, he don't have a life that people are interested, whether they got a unique dynamic or not. No one cares about what Kendrick eats for breakfast. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, player.
First of all, we know it's cold cereal that he lets sit over on the side for about 3 minutes before it gets soggy. He told us this
there you go.
years ago in a video. We don't care.
That's the negative of being a lifestyle rapper. It's the same issue that Jay-Z. When you're a lifestyle rapper and you put your life out in the public of luxury, it has a negative effect.
Yeah, so like with what we saw during the battle, I just thought it was interesting. There were some things he touched on that I thought was effective, but then sometimes Drake has this thing where he touches a little bit, that he goes completely in the wrong direction, which lets me know there's an accommodation to the idea of what Black Americans are. So, like, I felt when he said rapping like you're trying to set the slaves free, I felt that was when you transfer the students internationally, the international transfer students. I feel that was like one of those types of students, and they're in the middle of Atlanta and they're trying to roast with the rest of the Black kids in the metropolitan area, and they say the wrong shit, and they're like, "What, my friend? I can't say that." I felt Drake has had a couple of those moments, and again, it is what it is. But the reason why, what you all are saying is important, because Not Like Us hit everywhere. So because this internet culture is so huge right now, I thought at the very least he would start sitting down on Good Day, America Today, have a conversation with Michael Strahan, and like just even do this. Yeah, man, I just think, Kendrick Lamar is a terrific lyricist, and man, we had fun. And
You nailed it.
you get what I'm saying?
It.
Yeah, just bullshit.
You know what can I tell you what my idea was?
Yeah.
This was my Drake Fixes It campaign. He gets somebody who is basically, either dressed kind of like a butler or dressed like an MI6 agent. Put him on the air, Drake, with the ring. Show the ring leaving Canada. Show it arriving in LA. And then some text at the end that is deferential. Mm-hmm. Like, the ring has been returned to who it is supposed to be with. This was a good battle. See y'all at Iceman or whatever. And then we don't see him for 3 months. And then he comes back and he starts dropping singles. But if you would have given somebody a visual, you don't have to stand up and say, I lost. If you don't have the fortitude within yourself, or you're too ashamed or whatever, but you need to convey to the public, then it is a 45-second video of the plane here. And now the plane is here. We can see the ring on the plane, and then fade to black as the ring is clearly on its way into Compton to be delivered somewhere. And then we don't know where the ring runs up, but you let the audience take it to, he gave it to Tupac's family, or did he give it to Kendrick, or da-da-da. And then you just have some text at the end. They don't need to hear your voice. And then it's just fade to black and it's closed, and then you're gone.
Yeah. If he would have given it to the Tupac's family, that would have been dope as fuck.
That's too classy. That's way too classy.
Now you see why I'm good? I'm good. I could have come up with 10,000 different ideas of, here is how you get the egg and shit off of you. Because it's not about, well, you should give the ring back, or no. This is, again, I'm a strategist, so I'm gonna be strategic. What wins? What is the problem? And what is the plan that I can come up with to fix the problem? The narrative switch that would have created, that would have been, first of all, the audience would have said, Drake can see clearly. He can see what did and didn't happen in this situation. He can be self-deferential. And he can be respectful to our culture. The narrative switch and the things that people would have applied onto it that you wouldn't have even had to pay them for, that would have been favorable to you. And then you don't do anything else. You just let it sit. Let the people have it. Because remember, it's Creative Commons Poppy. So let them have it. But now they have something favorable for you. Your own fans can't be pissed at that if you actually want to show deferential respect to Tupac, who you say you respect, who you don't. But if you actually did, that would be a way to give them the perception, because that's what marketing is about. It's not about reality. It's about perception. So he needed a campaign, a branding campaign, and a visual campaign to visually cue to people, I lost. I respect who and what I lost to. I know my place. I'll see y'all in a minute. I'm going to be back with some bangers. Dunzo. We would not be talking about this shit today.
Lord have mercy. No, you're right about that, because first of all,
his claim is that he's putting out there that he thinks UMG or some of the people behind the scenes may be trying to line him up to delete him.
Well, the crazy part,
I know.
Those are conversations. If there's something erroneous going on behind the scenes, then it is what it is. But at the least on the art, first of all, Shouty, man, dog, you did not lose to Lil Pump. You lost to fucking Kendrick Lamar in a war of words by a Pulitzer Prize winner.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? That, first of all, I want to shake this kind of thing off me. And it's respect to the audience too, right?
Yes.
So it would have been an easy kill where he's like, hey, I guess it is what it is. Kendrick did go on his, he had to pop out. I think he had a Memorial Day, 4th of July.
Yep.
I think part of the victory lap tour might have been triggered from some of the other stuff that was going on, because it looked like at one point in time Kendrick was going to kind of just wrap it up, But when you start singing the lingering about the top 5 wanting to kill people and people making threats,
Oh, that and so then it's like, oh, okay, I didn't aim low enough.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
So
got top 5, and then we got Kendrick going, okay, nigga, where's my Draco? I'm not doing this shit.
Yeah, so you have that, and it is interesting, but I am going to be interested. Cindy and I, we are going to be interested to see what makes it a lawsuit. I know on our Patreon, we discussed the parent company of UMG, and we also talked about what was going on with Vivendi,
the blue bloods,
yeah,
who be putting black people against each other.
Yeah, and we talked about also
for their entertainment.
We talked about like even with these parent companies about, yes, UMG is a large company, they make a lot of money, but when you get into the greatest scheme of, this is who Kanye West mentions on Drink Champ. He mentioned Vivendi, and then I think that's the interview that they pulled down, right? What we was demonstrating to them is their pool wealth and how media, music, entertainment, all of that under one umbrella. They saw how small of a pie it was compared to, what they're doing in Africa, what they're doing in the Amazon and things like that. And, it was just a bit of perspective, because I know some people, their world has been wrapped up in the Drake and Kendrick thing. And Sin and I have been open. We said we're not going to be delusional. Lyrically, he lost to Kendrick. We need to stop trying to re-narrate what happened there.
Right.
But as far as Drake goes, like Sin and I, we open. I did the things about the children and stuff. I think that's Drake being petty because on Meet the Grams,
damn straight.
Yeah, because on Meet the Grams, Kendrick starts off Dear Adonis, and I remember, everybody did laugh about that. So Drake said he's the petty king. He's going to try to out petty whoever he feels or whatever the harm is.
Instead of out strategizing, he tries to be petty thing.
Yes,
and that's always a horrible thing to go based off emotion. Like what ABSA said, is about perception, not reality. So for his opinion, he's like, well, y'all always been making fun of my kids. So in his mind, he's like, well, then I'm going to do the same. But it's about perception. You're in a bad angle right now that even if you have some legitimacy to your claim on that, if you're not out strategizing a person, then they're not going to feel your pain. And this is why, Martin Luther King and other people had a lot of strategists, because they knew
the Big Six. Me
being in pain alone, people don't care. I have to illustrate it in the right way.
Yeah. It has to be the people's pain.
Right.
Yeah, you have to. Because when Kendrick said, and I said it at the time of the battle, it's like, look, it's like what Hitler said, become the mob, right? So as soon as Kendrick said, homie doubled down on us, still calling us some slaves, I said, that's it, nigga. Well, remember, that's also it, because now Kendrick goes from I'm just a contestant in a battle to now not only am I your champion, I'm one of you, and he's attacking us. And that's what the song about, Not Like Us, is Kendrick becoming the mob, and the mob is now railing against someone that has been called a colonizer. And Drake, we're watching it in real time, and we're like, man, they are really not picking up. That's where you see the turn at.
Well, and also what both of y'all saying, this is why you have to have someone who knows what they're doing. If Kendrick would have relied on the people who I'm not going to name, but that been doing a shitty job on who we carrying the banner in his name, he probably would have lost. But, and I'm not talking about in the rap battle, but perception. But he went
to everything else. Yes. Right. Everything else.
He went to professionals. Drake is relying on Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross isn't good at this. He has a lot of alpha generation people who listen to him, and maybe the alpha people don't care. But when you're talking about millennials, and I would even say some Gen Zers, and especially of course Gen Xers, you lost them because you are relying on people who don't have a lick of sense. That's like the people that we talked about who were being punk asses with the Lupe thing, or the people who are passive aggressive and they're riding off of Kendrick's victory. If Kendrick only relied on those people in media, he would have a lot of shit that he would have to fix. But because he went to the professionals, he's up.
That is one of the reasons why, when they just recently announced Project 3.
Yes.
So many things clicked into place for me. Because a lot of people, the common conversation has been like, it's Kendrick, it's Dave Free, and then, you know, a creative director or something that's cooking up all the things. And I'm never gonna, you know, take away from what a small group or even a single Black person with enough vision and experience and commitment can do. So is that possible? Sure. Plausible? No. And so for me, when they came out and said like, oh yeah, PG Lang actually has launched this thing, and then buried in the details is they bought an international company. I said, oh, this nigga's been acquiring the stones. He's been acquiring the stones. They have in-house. They have any question. They have an expert that can speak to it.
Mm-hmm.
They can sit down and say problem or question. And they have the best minds, not in hip hop, not in PG Lang, but in this creative space in the world that can sit down and give feedback or advise or answer a question or say, well, the way we can figure it out before we actually launch it to know if it's actually going to go that way is we can actually do this over here first. So could it have been just him and his faith in God and saying, I'm going to post it and here we go? Sure. Do I think it was a lot more calculated than that? Yes. The other thing that I didn't realize until they launched Project 3, and then I could more greatly focus on Project 3 Agency, and PG Lang, is that they have international, reputable, mainstream media relationships.
Yeah.
And they've had them for years. They've been behind closed doors operating at a different fucking level that we did not know that they were already operating on. They're already developing, first of all, their own resource, but then their own relationships and their own standing in the media sphere. They're about to become a media conglomerate. That's what Project 3 is. It is a 360 in-house. We can create whatever we want. We have the assets to launch it, to host it, to keep it, to whatever. Drake ain't got none of that shit, let alone a PR firm that he's working with. So again, like the levels to it. When they made that announcement, I was like, so many fucking things make so much sense to me, because even though, you know, you saw some mainstream media, you know, try and capitalize, you know, on the beef by writing about it or covering it, nobody ever went at Kendrick. Ever. And I don't think it was just because of the perception of what was happening in the beef. I think it's because of the perception behind closed doors in the real business world.
He made the moves under the table that Drake, whatever the reason is behind it, had lost sight of, which is why a lot of his business relationships with some of these people,
OVO label and whatever it is he's got cooking up, it's never even risen to the level of TDE or PG Lang. And now you've got PG Lang who's like, actually, we're acquiring international companies so that we can be better. It's like, Drakey poo, you are a decade behind what it takes to be a mogul. So when you've got Bird Brain standing up on a podcast, I think what he actually wants, what he's trying to get out of the lawsuit, is Lucian's job.
Yeah.
What do you think Lucian does for a living? What the fuck are you talking about? If we're going to talk about artists qualified for Lucian's job, it's Taylor Swift, and then Beyonce, and then Kendrick, and then Jay-Z. That's it. Drake is nowhere in the fucking equation. He does not have a pinky's worth of the professional experience and knowledge required to run a multinational corporation like UMG. He can't even run OVO to success.
Well, it is true. One thing that we pointed out, I think Kendrick is the first artist I've seen in a battle that has given the general public an interactive experience. Whether people know it or not, people were involved even with the numerology You know, he created puzzles, and there was a decoding mechanism here.
Tech firms.
The tech firms, and then you have what happened with the pop out, and then you have these experiences with the rollout to GNX, and you know, I think there's something interesting here. You know, sitting out, we did feel he was going into what he, you know, they've coined it as a multidisciplinarian company. But we knew Kendrick was going to be extending into multimedia because his approach to the battle, I felt it was more immersive, engaging, and interactive for the listeners.
And intentional. It was intentional.
Right. And in some cases there was fourth wall breaking, you know. You know, like when Sid and I was talking about Silent Hill and Peekaboo, and then we was watching the Super Bowl like everybody else, and then people were asking questions, well, what do you guys think? Or now people are having conversations. There's creating a community there as well. I think the issue with Drake, and I think sometimes the expectation of Drake also comes from the misunderstanding of how his career started. So, like, you know, I was in Atlanta when we started to see Drake show up on different albums and cuts and things of that nature, and there was more of an introduction to him, or even what you see in the early GQ magazines where they said how to Drake it in America. I think this was in 2014. So you see, like, you know, they said, look, you know, he was 25. He already made 25 million. They said he will be en route to become the next Jay-Z. You know, so I felt like at the time I said, okay, so, you know, he's going to be the new lifestyle guy. And then you keep the thing moving.
But he starts off great with relationships, and then it just goes downhill.
He doesn't have the discipline.
Right.
Well, I don't think he has the discipline for these relationships. And also, I think he's been so self-centered for so long. Those are partnerships. It's a give and take, not just a take. And Drake doesn't know how to give shit.
Yeah, well, well, I've always joked about, I say he's a very grumpy Scorpio. I was like, you know, Drake is a lot he's a lot grumpier.
He be giving us Scorpios a badass name, boy. He really gives us Scorpios a bad name.
Scorpio.
I am a Scorpio.
Yeah, because so I know I'm a Scorpio as well. So yeah, they you know, but I do say he's a very grumpy one. You got you know the ones that they shoot from the hip, but he's a very grumpy one. And it's weird because his brand is extrovert, right? But he's actually you know, he's intolerable to dealing with the public for long stints of time.
He has ups and downs. Like there's times he wants to be lifestyle and party, but then when he becomes reclusive, he doesn't know how to still market it where it doesn't destroy the relationships that he built years of building.
Right.
And that's, I think also what ABSA's talk about with it being indulgent is like, once you take the responsibility of building something, you have to commit to it, even, you know, times when you don't want to. This is why you always got to be careful when you go into relationships, because it's going to be responsibilities. So, you know, with that, you know, Drake had a great start. He had a lot of relationships was right there in his hands. And I think he got too emotional about things instead of looking at the strategy. Like when you're looking at Atlanta, for example, okay, if you in Metro get into it, it doesn't matter. You have to look at the fact that this is one of your biggest markets. You need this market. This is one of the markets that broke you in besides Houston, Texas. So you have to make sure these relationships in Atlanta stay good beyond just Young Thug. And it's crazy because how he started off with the partnerships with Rihanna, with the certain things with Serena Williams, you had a great start, but you did not maintain these said relationships, whether it's grumpiness or indulgence or whatever the issue
grumpiness is sending me. I just love that so much.
He is, man. Like you ever watch him in an interview, like when he was with Elliot Wilson? There's times where you see him get, why the fuck am I here? Like he gets like that. Like,
that's why Scorpios will have to be careful, because this is for me too, even though I'm not a Scorpio. I don't want to commit to something if I feel like down the road I'm going to get irritated or don't want to be bothered, because then it can collapse on me.
Yeah.
Yes. If you're going to go into a relationship, you have to come with the commitment of, I got to keep this going, and I'm going to have to maintain these relationships if I decide to spend years in it. It's nothing worse than putting years into something, and because of your emotions or how you feel them or whatever, allowing it to all crumble on top of you. And again, I understand as a person, because, you know, as an independent creator, I sometimes don't want to be bothered with people. but if you're in, like you said, ABSA, when you're in that corporate space and you built up years of something, you don't have that luxury to
about feelings. It's about business.
Yeah, you have to maintain the fort.
You have to. Yeah.
This brings up an interesting, I'm going to go off camera again, but I'm still here. This brings up an interesting, and I'd love to get your thoughts, and then I'm going to work us around to a wrap up, because we could literally talk forever. But this brings up an interesting point that I see kind of, especially in, you know, like the reactor or the creator, you know, culture that is a major issue right now, is that so, you know, Drake just came out with his latest court rulings, and anytime he does that, we see a reactor's or a streamer's name in a court document. And I'm not going to name anybody. But I you know, wrote a thing on the companion blog about, like, it is really unfortunate to see that these reactors and streamers 6 months, 7 months into the lawsuit still do not understand what the fuck is going on, and are still jeopardizing themselves and in jeopardizing themselves. They help Drake every fucking single time they open their mouth and say something. They are helping Drake. And I got a comment from somebody who said, you know, I love it when they try and throw my words back in my face to make their point. But she was like, well, you said it yourself. What Drake is doing is incendiary. So obviously it's going to provoke a response. And my response to her was, you motherfuckers provoke responses out of me all the time. You don't see them. My work provokes shit out of me all the time. The client doesn't see it. I go and have my emotional reaction where I need to have my emotional reaction. And then I come back to center or back to the table where other people can fucking see my ass, and I comport myself accordingly. Just because you're having a reaction doesn't mean you need to do it in a space where everybody can see it. And this is where I'm like, people have no boundaries. They have no real life. They don't have people that care about them, where they can step off camera to your friends and say, I'm mad, or I'm in my feelings, or I'm grumpy, and just be, and get validation from that. And then get back on your fucking square, pull your shit back together, and go be the professional you need to do that thing. People don't need to see it. And that's where people fuck themselves. They decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to record this, and I'm going to post it for everybody to see. Or Drake, I'm a subtweet, or I'm going to come up with some passive aggressive, you know, description under a video, or I'm going to retweet something somebody else did, but I don't have the discipline to not let everybody else see how I feel. And they keep doing it, and they keep doing it. It keeps fucking them, and it keeps fucking them, but it works for them. It's that instant gratification of, oh, I got a reaction, or oh, I got a bag, or oh, I got clicks, or oh, people are talking about me, or oh. But it all comes back to, you don't have the self-discipline to shut the hell up in front of other people, or go off and have your moment in a private space, and then come back when you do feel like you have the capacity to deal with whatever is in front of you. And I'm wondering what you all think about, do you think that reactors who do let's just start with reactors, because Drake is Drake, but like reactors and streamers, what do you think is the main motivation for them being like, fuck it, I'm going to record it or I'm going to stream it live instead of processing it elsewhere and then having a more strategic response. What do you think is like the main residual return from doing that constantly, even though they gonna face some kind of smoke or static or harm as a result?
Attention, ego, wanted to be famous, wanted to be known, wanted to be associated by, in a bit, they're being a parasite to Drake, just like Drake has been to others.
Right.
Because if you're in a lawsuit and if you're really for Kendrick, let's say you're somebody, let's say you may know him personally or not, you're just for him, but let's say you're in a lawsuit, then you will understand that, oh, I got to be disciplined on my platform for a while until this lawsuit is over. I don't want to say anything that could mess something up or be in favor of Drake. Let me be responsible. Let me be disciplined. No, they're out here running around being messy. And yeah, Drake could possibly lose the lawsuit, but you may give him something that can help him win. Because to your point, you're not being disciplined with your platform. Like if I was in a lawsuit, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not publicly talking about anything. This is why usually lawyers advise people, like when you're dealing with a lawsuit, do not touch on the subject matter that y'all are engaging in court in. You know, that's one of the things that actually also really harmed Tory Lanez, because Tory Lanez was up there thinking, oh, if I win through the internet, then I'm going to be a free man. No, that's not how the judicial system works. It's not about winning the people over. You got to win in court. This is the same thing that goes with Drake. Right now, Drake people are trying to win in court. This is his Hail Mary, right? So you don't go out there if you're tied up in this lawsuit just being like, oh yeah, you know, I'm getting paid by Lucian and Psycho, or antagonizing Jake, or doing all these type of theatrics, because you can actually end up building something in favor, you know, of Drake when it comes to this particular lawsuit. So I think there's a lot of clout chasing. I think whether these people know Kendrick or not, some of them do, some of them don't, but I think it's more so about their ego, and also the fact that some of these people were fans of Drake too, not just fans of Kendrick. Like with you, you're coming with a more balanced approach, because like you said, yeah, you wasn't really even listening to Drake's music like that. But some of these people really were fans of and fanatics for Drake, and some of them were also big fans of Kendrick too. But you know what happens when admiration goes in the other direction? It's obsessive, impulsive, you know, constantly focusing on this guy, even when you're wrapped up in a lawsuit and you're supposed to be more disciplined. If this guy has you in a lawsuit, you don't know what his lawyers and other people are collecting data wise when you're streaming every day and saying just anything. You don't know, and they're like, damn, we got something there. You know, that again, Tory was texting and doing a lot of shit online. Academics didn't help Tory Lanez's case, you know. So I will say for the reactors who are supposed to be pro Kendrick or who are wrapped up in the lawsuit, it would always be wise to not be arrogant and to be measured and to be disciplined. Handle how you feel behind the scenes. Now, when the lawsuit is over, then you can be antagonistic all you want, you know, but you can't be that way in a lawsuit.
Yeah, I think the it is a hell of a drug. To her point, I think, you know, I actually think a lot of these people are Drake fans. You know, it ain't this many niggas that hate this nigga. And, you know, because like, okay, just to preference correctly, when he came out, I did check out So Far Gone, and I love the Houston, Atlanta, Vegas joint. And then that was it. I checked out once I heard the Thank Me Later and all this other stuff, right? The Best I Ever Had and Take It. So a person I knew, she said, hey, you might want to check out this one mixtape he did. I said, I'm not into it. Checked it out, boom, and then the album he did out there I thought was decent albums. Those are two decent albums, and he had like another mixtape. These people online are acting like Bull Connor. I've never ever been a nigga lover. I've never ever. I said for 15 years, player. And I wasn't that big up on it. I listened to a lot more Kendrick and Crit than I did listen to Drake. Right. You know, so I was listening to them boys on the mixtape days. Right. So I think a lot of the people, you know, think about it. If look, a lot of these people were into Take Care. It's like one of Drake's biggest albums. People could argue it's probably his classic, assisted by the penmanship of The Weeknd, right? Those same people that might have lost their virginity to that record, those same people that might have bought their first vehicle to that record, some of them are finding their names in this lawsuit. You don't think that the dopamine reactors are on crackhead level?
The guy I used to be in love with, he put me in a lawsuit. He knows me. Oh my goodness.
But now you get a chance to be seen like, I'm standing against Drake for the culture, but deep down inside, I think I'm charmed by the fact that he's thrown me in this lawsuit. He thinks of me as that important.
He noticed me. He noticed me.
So people were like, there's some people was like, hey, bro, they knew not to put y'all in there. I said, I didn't even look at nothing like that. I was interested that the reactors are put up in there, but also I do keep this.
He wouldn't put us in a lawsuit because we're demonetized. Yes. He's looking to see if UMG pays
exactly right.
So
you're not relevant to his argument because you don't have the components needed to prove anything.
There you go. So the other thing to it, ABSA, and Singh brought up fantastic points, but I think it's due to inexperience. You know, we don't really celebrate a culture of media and communication, you know, like it was maybe 25 years ago where people went to school for journalism. You know, they teach you how to speak and engage with the public, when to shut up, right? Some of these people should have shut up 8 months ago, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the parasocialism that we brought up. I think people are delighted that Drake noticed them, you know, and look, I'm happy that they're happy. I'm just watching everything as it goes down, but I do think that, you know, there are people, you know, I don't think they understand the ramifications behind all of this because look, as goofy as everything is, there is a connotation of about restricting speech online. And we do have an administration that we're seeing the Washington Post, we're seeing SNL, we're seeing things these are indicators. Look, they shut down PBS. Elmo was homeless.
Stephen Colbert.
Yes, Stephen Colbert. They say you got 10 months and you're off the air, right?
Well, they should have known that and stood up for Kaepernick because Kaepernick was the first person to be blackballed by Trump in 2016.
Jamil Hill and also don't forget about Michael.
Jamil got kicked off her job. Trump literally told the owners, get this motherfucker off the field, fire him.
Yeah.
So y'all didn't take care of him there because the guy is a biracial with an afro. Okay. Well, now he firing all you white people now in the entertainment sector now.
So here's the thing, Sid and I, we don't get arrogant about anything. A threat is a threat. Whether you feel you're above it or not, you got to keep your eye on it.
Yep.
Let's just say in an alternative universe, somewhere the judge says we're going to throw everything out, but boom, we understand what you're saying here. And you see a form of a restriction, something of a consequence that does take place in the culture. Because remember, I do believe a lot of this campaigning that's going on right now of people really turning up with Drake and everything. This data is being harvested and collected. So when people are like, they get mentioned in the lawsuit and then they're like, well, I'm really about to go Tupac on his ass. I'm going to show him I'm not the motherfucker to mess with. And these things are being collected in the long term. Right. You know, Sin and I said, Drake is a gambler. He loves doing high stakes. This is a high risk value situation that's taking place right now for him. I always said to the general public is, remember, Elizabeth Cheney swore up and down on her dead father that Trump would never be back in the White House, and you don't have to worry. Our hearing is going to make sure the orange man doesn't get you all again. And then on January 19th of this year, Trump was playing 50 Cent driving to the White House.
Right.
So for me, I'm going to keep it real with you, ABSA. It could go either way. Yes, you know, some of the things we've read that seem stupid and erroneous, but his lawyers keep constantly adjusting to make something lock in, and it is about perception. what you're saying is they're trying to win through perception through the courts.
Right.
Yep.
They're looking for the main meat, and these people are not paying attention. Like, it's about the botting. That's the core heart of it. If there's no bottom found, Drake's career is dead in a tombstone forever. It's done.
Yep.
But if they find botting, that's what he's looking for. That's why he's looking at all these lawsuits, the YouTubers, people on social media. He's looking to see, okay, was this guy botted? Did they bot his channel or videos to diss me? Okay, wait a minute. It is not like us botted. That's what he's looking for. That's the main meat of the lawsuit, and he's hoping to find something. But if he don't find anything, then that's it for him. But yeah, the people who are wrapped up in the lawsuit that are reactors, they should be
But
wise.
here's the extent to which he's going. And this is what I mean by people will sacrifice themselves to make somebody else fail.
Right, go ahead.
Drake is so committed to proving that UMG does crooked shit to promote music that he has injected his own music into it. That he doesn't care if it comes out that they botted his music.
Yes.
He just needs to prove that they bought shit. So that's the extent to which self-preservation in the way that we would think he would, a reasonable person would focus on is not his focus. It is literally by any means necessary. We're going to look under, because he would know, for example, Scorpion. He would know what his fingerprints are on.
Yes.
And what they're not on. So he doesn't care if there's somebody in OVO who has fingerprints on something that somebody at, UMG also has their fingerprints on. His fingerprints aren't on it. It doesn't matter. If he can prove they both touched it, they both manipulated it. I didn't know. But see, they do this shit. He would even let it play. He would even let that play run on his own music just so he can prove they're crooked, because you can't attach me to it. I didn't know they did it. I didn't touch it. They did it. They did it, and it's not fair. And then he goes into pretending that he cares about the smaller artists. See, it's not fair to the smarter artists. I didn't want them to do that. That's not fair. He's so desperate for a foothold. He doesn't care if it's on his fucking face. And that is what I mean by never underestimate stupid people with a plan, because they're dangerous and they will cut off their own nose to spite your fucking face.
But
It's crazy.
He's hoping because he's a Scorpio. He's hoping that his lineage will regenerate. See, this is the dangerous thing.
Rude.
This is why Scorpios can be dangerous, though. Look at how much they had against Diddy. And he's still push. He's not all the way out of the woods yet.
By far.
But the most critical shit is out of the way, because he had stuff that could have had him in there for a whole lifetime, right? So now it's possibly 5 to 10 years. So he's trying to do one more willpower move to get himself out of that too, right?
Yep.
You got, to your point, you have to be careful with people who are willing to throw everything out there to see what sticks, because sometimes guess what? Sometimes people do get lucky. So to your point about the reactors not understanding the weight of this and being immature, I agree with you. It's too much fame addiction. It's too much of them not admitting that they were also big fans of Drake. This is why they cared to be so immature about the lawsuit.
And that was my point. Because I've seen some of them who are named who are like, be careful what you're asking for, Drake. Be careful. You don't know who they were contacting me. You've missed the point. His lawyers are already 10 steps ahead of you. They absolutely do not care if your text messages are about fighting Irish and promoting that song or giving it a favorable review. The fact of the matter is, if they can show cahoots, they're gonna show cahoots. So it doesn't matter if you liked Drake, supported Drake, were favorable to Drake, took money on the back end for Drake songs, and you're like, be careful, nigga. He already knows that.
Yeah, thing is,
already knows that.
Well, one of y'all criticism is that he's not careful. So why would you advise him? That's the crazy part about it. Like, he don't give a fuck about that shit. Like, to be at that level, like somebody told me in the entertainment industry, they said, bro, to be at a certain level in entertainment or any corporate fixture, you have to have savagery in you somewhere. You have to be a savage. So like even with that, but I have seen some conversations from reactors that did say you don't know who we were talking to, and I said, well, one of the things they're looking for is a conspiracy,
right? And they go, they go,
and now you told them where to look. That's the thing that's so wild to me. And a reactor having the nerve to fix his face to say, well, I recorded a video, but I didn't put it up because probably would have gotten me in more legal trouble. Nigga, all you did was give them grounds for a subpoena.
There you go. Let's subpoena your text messages, your online messages, email,
and don't think that we got to the third round of discovery requests.
Okay, go ahead.
And they didn't find something in the first or second rounds that directed them to your ass. They didn't just come up with your name. They have been subpoenaing around you. You think to come up with your bank records, they need your permission? You think to come up with payment records, they need your permission? No, they subpoena Google for that. You think if they want to know your analytics, they're going to ask you and trust you? No, they subpoena Google for that. They don't need your permission.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a
exactly. See, this is why you're brilliant. That's the thing that they don't comprehend.
Yeah, and it's hard to comprehend.
Which is crazy for some conspiracy having ass niggas that they don't.
Oh no, absolutely. They do that. They do that shit when it's in the favor of an audience that they're milking. You get what I'm saying? And the crazy part about it, look, Sin and I, we early on, we was breaking down like, okay, even when you talk about the rounds of discovery, and sitting out early on, we was trying to explain that. And at least I was, we did some streams. I was talking to it, and I looked in the comment section. It's, just people were just like, put Drake in his place, or whatever the case is. I says, ladies and gentlemen, that man has more than enough money for a dream team somewhere. You get what I'm saying? And he's knows
hired one of the best firms. Hired one of the best.
So. Then the idea of like 2% and less, as far as like with these types of litigations, somewhere they say a party may concede or attempt to concede, or first they will have where the judge will order them to come together and see can they come up with agreeable terms. Yeah. Here's the thing. This is like Sim brought up about the body, right? I also said this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a part of a rebrand as well, because let's just say UMG and Drake, they come to an agreement somewhere and the terms are undisclosed. Drake can walk out and say what?
Well, and add to that, Prince, and after also, this is why the boycott Iceman is so fucking dumb. If you are a part of the industry,
so stupid. I'm so glad to hear somebody else say that besides me. It's so fucking dumb.
Let's say you don't know Kendrick directly, but you know someone who know Kendrick. Or let's say maybe you know someone on TDE or whatever, right? And you go out there with your dumb ass and say, yeah, we need to boycott Iceman. Then that adds to the conspiracy.
Collusion.
And instead of you letting Drake be like, oh, I died on my own. People just moved on from my music. It was a good 15-year run, but people don't want to listen to that no more. Now you're making it like, oh, yeah, you know what? There is a conspiracy. Boycott Iceman.
That is, and that's the thing that people were getting at us about. And look, here's my thing about it. For typically like the guys, like they do this shit where it's a bunch of saber rattling. I'm not into it. That's not where I'm from. They say if you pull it out, you better use that motherfucker, right? So usually with some of the fellas, I usually ignore the saber rattling, because when you start spinning in that direction, they go the other way, right? They're trying not to get embarrassed in front of an audience that they milk. And look, I think you should play with your Lego sets and your people. But what I will say is this, because I'm more sitting there, we're more like cooperation is, even if I don't agree with you, man, you can do your thing, we can do our thing, right? But the problem is like we have a neurotic society, especially on neuroticism. So people fuck with people just because they see someone. So here's the thing that my thought about the boycott that I took in deeply. I said, well, that could add to, there's this some sort of grand conspiracy amongst reactors that is tied in with UMG or at the behest of a third party entity that is about devaluing the brand of Drake. A boycott is about devaluement of a brand. We're no longer interest. We can cause a decline in sales. We will affect your bottom dollar somewhere.
Especially since they were specific to say, we're not just talking about regular music listeners. We don't want it to be licensed. We don't want corporations to support it. It's like, oh, well, you're being real specific about your conspiracy.
Yes. So that's why, like, sitting out, we just think, we think the fandom, look, there's a lot of grandstanding in its fan club wars. It's like when you used to watch comedy films in the 90s about nerds, and you'll see Star Wars and Star Trek fans fist fighting in the parking lot. That's what it looks like to me online right now.
Just to throw it out there, is really from the industry plans. I think most of the regular Kendrick fans who liked his stuff since the mixtape run, they're not doing this. They're like, we just want to go listen to his music. We just don't like Drake as much. Or I used to like Drake, but I don't like him as much now. Right. The industry plans are the ones that's doing the dumbest shit. Boycott Iceman. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, you're really helping the case there by doing that.
And also, you're not going to get the outcome that you want. You just want to take credit because it's obvious Iceman isn't going to do well. Because none of the singles coming up that he or whatever he's put out, it's not doing well. He's not performing well. So you could safely anticipate that Iceman isn't going to do well. And so there are a lot of people who just try and position themselves to look like they were the smart one when the thing comes to pass. So for me, I see part of it as being people wanting to position themselves to be like, see, we did it. We were effective. No, you're in an echo chamber. The people who don't listen to Drake aren't listening to Iceman. They're not going to stream it. And people who are dedicated to him are going to listen to it, regardless of what the fuck you say. And also, why would companies listen to you and say in not licensing or using Drake's music for anything? What do you have that makes them say, oh, we care about that? They don't give a fuck about you.
Well, why would you do
what
that?
What is your argument for why they should boycott Drake? Drake is a useful fucking commodity for them. You are not. And you have no plan or real basis behind this. And like you said, the potential twist and blowback factor is greater than any effectiveness of this bullshit ass campaign.
Most of the companies that have some sense, unlike American Eagle, they would never participate in no boycott during this lawsuit with UMG.
Because they would get sued.
They're going to get wrapped up in it. And I'm going to be honest with you, ABSA. Sid and I, we believe that people are going to edge lord so much, they're going to give Drake a victory somewhere.
If they keep doing it. If they keep doing it,
you know, it may not be victory in the sense of like he get everything, including Kendrick DNA and hair sample. But I do believe the way they are mindlessly moving, I feel he's going to catch a W somewhere legally.
I think that even though I had my constructive criticism of him, I think that one of the people right now who's playing it smart is DJ Head. Why would I go on a campaign against Drake right now? There's a lawsuit out. If I go on there and be like, I would not, I'm not playing Drake's music as a DJ. Conspiracy, subpoena his bitch ass. Subpoena him. You just heard that?
And here's the thing. He could not play Drake's music. We wouldn't know because he didn't tell us. So he didn't put himself in jeopardy. Like, you can stand on business if you decide I'm not playing this motherfucker anymore when I DJ. We're not going to know that. First of all, we're not where you DJ. So we're not going to know that. And you were smart enough to keep it to yourself. You didn't put it out there to make it a liability for yourself. It's just a decision that you made. Nobody else needed to hear you declare it. That's one of the problems we have in this society. I'm like, don't announce you're leaving, beloved. Just go the fuck away. There's a lot of that, right? And so it's like, that's smart. Any reactor who hasn't said a word since their name came up in the pre-action petitions or wherever he put their name, smartest ones. Like, I forget John Denton got mentioned because he hasn't said a fucking thing as far as I can recall. And he's not going to say a fucking thing. You know why? That man has a lawyer. Why? Because that is a grown-up ass man. He's not playing around. And so I, you know, one of the blowback that I got was somebody saying about, you know, the reactor who made a video admitting he had made another video. Some of the blowback I got was, oh, so we're just supposed to accept Drake putting everybody in the lawsuit and silencing everybody. First of all, I didn't fucking say that. And then the other one that I got was, how do you know such and such doesn't have a lawyer? Why don't you reach out to them and see who's representing them? Motherfucker, I know they don't have a lawyer because there is no lawyer. And I'm not talking about the lawyer that you use to make sure your YouTube channel is set up right. And no, I'm talking about a lawyer that has experience if the FCC decides they are going to investigate Drake's Payola allegations.
Yes.
That's the kind of lawyer that I'm talking about. And I know you don't have that fucking lawyer because that lawyer would not represent you if they knew that you're still talking publicly. Because you are undermining their ability to protect you. And all lawyers look for what is called a good client. And a good client has self-discipline and discretion. And will what? Shut the fuck up.
I'm glad you said that because I think people are misunderstanding. Yeah, there's all of the silliness, but I think it's tactically, I think there's some part of Drake and his team that want to get a triggerable, chaotic reaction, so he can also narrate the reaction into the lawsuit, right?
Absolutely.
So people forget at the center of this, what they are talking about is payola. Mm-hmm. And again, I bring it up,
which the people got to remember is illegal, even though it's a practice that's done in the industry. It's still illegal.
It's still
right? So
illegal.
It's payola, and again, you know, the late Michael K. Williams, he had a very interesting short documentary on Vice. He talked about payola and nodding through these streaming systems, these DSPs. So the idea, even the guy that they're looking for, Kojo, he said it himself on the the Stereophonics podcast is one of them. I'm sorry if I butchered the name.
I can't remember which one it is, but yes.
But I watched it, and he said that he basically is a loose outfit, and he does things to blow records up that even maybe artists are unaware of.
Sure.
And this is where Sin and I said the general public has to be careful, because the real meat and potato is payola and triggering the FCC. Remember, they went through
exactly
this.
What I said. That is exactly what I have been saying.
Yeah, so people they're I think I think Drake, all this other shit about Whitney's shoe size and stuff. I think these are cultural strategic maneuvers
to trigger people who are in the lawsuit to keep going
keep going, because
boycott Iceman.
Yeah, because the backbone, the spinal cord of the argument is that there is payola, and guess what they're saying here? This space is unregulated. What's going on here? Okay, so if you have the LeBron James of UMG, okay, suing, saying, hey, there's botting here, there's payola here, there's something going on here. Well, look, Michael K. Williams just had a conversation. We've seen the lawyer, music.
They're suing a company who has been found to have done it.
Yes, there you go, right there.
They're suing a company that has been found to have done it. They're suing them in the jurisdiction where they were found to have done it, where they were also investigated by the feds. His whole lawsuit is a big red flag to federal regulators. Investigate UMG. And when they investigate UMG, they investigating all you niggas too.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why Sin and I don't know if, you know, because I know we're all busy, but she and I, we've just, when it came to the lawsuit, we stated certain things, and we did say where he could possibly have a win, because I said at the center of this, it's payola. It's payola.
And that's why I'm glad we're talking to you, because a lot of people get stuck on being fanatics and not looking at the legalities of this, the legal system, when it comes to Drake and Kendrick and UMG. Remember, all these record labels, everybody know the beginning stories of them, because Black people were prevented in a lot of ways because Jim Crow. A lot of Europeans were able to set up shop, even the criminal ones, for when it comes to the music industry. Yes, Black people created modern music, but the industry was created by Italians and Jews and people like that, because we were prevented from doing it ourselves, right? So these people came from the underworld. These are people who were selling liquor when it used to be illegal and all this other stuff. So when you're looking at someone like Lucian on UMG, you're talking about a long history of gangsters, right? So they're hoping to find that they were doing business as usual, something that is the open secret in that particular industry.
Standard in practice
is what Drake and his legal team is hoping to find.
And he's very well aware of the system. Look, we can, I think people
very well.
Cultural missteps is one conversation. The legality of this conversation here, even what took place with Hot 97, Power 105, like I said about Clive Davis, Drugola, Payola. We're talking about the 90s. We got to even go back to the era of muddy waters when we're talking about interfering with interstate commerce, about preventing people's records from being played. Like, people can say whatever they want to say about this big-headed boy. This is a real situation here. And look, I mean, I'm not that invested that, Drake irks me so much that I don't see the consequence of this lawsuit, because my personal opinion is that we've always said that there is a situation here where they're trying to trigger the feds to pick up a scent.
Right, just like what
Yes.
What Nicki is doing in her own crazy way.
And then there's that. Yes.
Everybody know, and when you're dealing with Hollywood, everybody has mafia backers, right? Nicki, she ain't talking about her. She got her own, right? Everybody involved in this, Jay-Z, all of them, they do, right? When what Nicki's doing is trying to, when she was at the FBI and see all that shit, she wants an investigation to be done towards Rock Nation. What Drake is doing, he's like, I want y'all to find business as usual. Y'all know what we do in this industry. Please find it so I can be vindicated and I can get the fuck up out of this trap that I may have put myself in. And I'm gambling everything on this lawsuit. And then to your point, Ashley, you have these dumbass, some of the dumbass reaction people like, boycott.
Boycott what? You mean add to the lawsuit? Because you're going to get added to the lawsuit. And the crazy part is
to the lawsuit. Yeah.
Everybody brings up, okay, Drake is Nino Brown and he's standing up in court. What was Nino Brown prepping to do? Tell on the United States government. He said it's bigger than Nino Brown and the Carters. The only level up player is government. So even if you want to say that is Drake, that means, listen, it's not that he's wanting to sit in Lucien Grange's chair. People got that confused. If I trigger a federal investigation and that scandal happens under the tutelage of Lucien, he will be forced to step down.
He will be forced to step down. Yes.
The board would not be happy with this.
Right.
That they would say, you let this get this far. That's a hypothetical. But to your point, ABSA, like Sin stated, when you're dealing with 3-year-old minds of, my guy is better than your guy, it's hard to have a conversation.
And also, Trump is a wild card, too.
He is a very big wild card.
I was thinking about this last night. I was thinking about, Drake and Nicki and, we'll like the Young Money Rolodex, right? And then I was thinking about Lucian's Rolodex. And I was thinking to myself, this is when I was falling asleep, so I didn't, go too deep down it. But I was thinking to myself, I wonder whose Rolodex is going to get to Trump first on this. Because I do believe it's already being discussed at the federal level. Yes. I don't think that they're not having internal conversations about this lawsuit at the FCC and other places.
Yes.
And I think that behind closed doors, definitely entities are trying to put their thumbs on the scale for one outcome or the other. And it's all in who Donald decides is most beneficial to him, right? Which isn't automatically Lucian. Because they've got this whole COINTELPRO thing going on blackness and hip hop and the black community anyway. And so it's like, if it is more beneficial to the administration that they have this dumbass Canadian, and everybody that comes along with him than it is to have somebody who was knighted by the Queen of England. Then that's the route they're going to go. And they will absolutely launch an investigation to the benefit of and for the purpose of helping Drake.
It's already right there. It's like, even when people, this is why we say that this is a politically uninformed wave of hip hop commentators, because
Boy, oh boy.
if you look at it, the chess pieces are there. The Aiden
They're
Ross,
all there.
Logan Paul's, like it's and Trump leans towards celebrity on top of that.
He loves celebrity.
He loves us.
He loves us a
He
celebrity.
loves
That's why
celebrity.
we was able to talk about it. Besides, because Prince and I, we talk about this stuff with each other, but I'm glad we was able to talk about it with somebody else as well, because sometimes people get mad at us, and it's like, it's not about personal taste in music.
Not at this
when
point.
you're reading a lawsuit.
Yes, it's not about personal taste in music.
You have to see where someone can mess up and where's their strength. The Payola possibility is the strongest thing that Drake has.
I agree.
If they find it. And then secondary would be if stupid reactors say, boy, boycott Iceman. And that's kind of like the conspiracy there.
Well, I mean, even when you have reactors saying, I made a video about you, Drake, and then they paid me after the fact. Nigga, you didn't disclose it. You didn't disclose it. You broke the law. And people who are on this whole like, well, such and such isn't the one in the lawsuit. Now, are they? You are. So this thinking that like, oh, well, such and such did it, but you're the one that's named in the lawsuit. So it doesn't matter what happened in music history's past, or if it was okay, or if it was business as usual. He is now weaponizing that to his advantage. And I agree. It's literally Donald could wake up one day and just be like, meh, 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 and just decide we gonna set it off on UMG. And that's it. And then the dominoes fall from there.
So they said Trump don't be reading. He listened to whatever his friends say. I heard it. I saw it. What happened, Drake?
Yes.
It's unfair.
Unfair.
Yes. He loves that. He loves unfair. It's unfair to the artist. You know, I love the artists. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's how we get, Young Money playing at the fucking Kennedy Center Honors or some shit like that. But yeah.
And that's the thing. Like we like, Lord have mercy. Like we didn't have all types of craziness, but I'll say this, just watching how everything is, and as far as I could get into it, all I saw where I did focus on was the Payola conversation. Yep. People that we've talked to that have been in even the other spaces, they say, look, I mean, yes, it goes on. And I say that's a problem because, look, keep this in mind, absolutely. Maybe it's something you might want to check into for yourself or your audience, but people forget about Ja Rule and Interscope, 50 Cent, and UMG. UMG stopped paying Murder Inc. at the time of not only the trial, because they got wrapped up in it, because they got caught up in the RICO, because they were saying that, Irv Gotti and them were doing money laundering to help Kenneth Supreme McGriff continue on with his cartel, when really what the feds wanted to do was just jam them up so they couldn't pay for his lawyer fees, right? So, but then in the process, UMG stopped paying Murder Inc.
And they destroyed their run, even though at the time Ja Rule and Ashanti and them were really popular.
Yeah, and they moved the money to Interscope, and it backed 50 Cent. And then UMG even ended up testifying against the Inc., where they had to rebrand as the Inc. and Murder Inc. What Senator have been saying in this entire process is that if the Payola thing becomes more of a focal point and Drake's lawyers can get the judge to continue to focus in that direction, you will see UMG go into self-preservation mode like they've done before.
Well,
yes, I agree. Yeah,
they're hoping that, and where the creators, I think, is being gullible here. They're like, well, hopefully UMG exposes the possibility that Drake may be into teenage girls and all this. I said you shouldn't fall on hope. Just be responsible. If you talk about, I hope, UMG, well, UMG could get caught up in that if that is true too, because look at what Lil Rod said in the lawsuit originally. He said that Lucian Grange was the one that was providing the money and stuff needed to traffic people pertaining to Diddy, right? Again, it didn't go to court or nothing like that, but it was taken out of the lawsuit eventually. But the whole point is, like, you trying to rely on hope instead of just being a practical, disciplined person. Shut up.
Right.
Talking about boycott Iceman. Shut up, because it's stupid. Like you said, people going to listen to it or they're not going to listen to it. But you talking about boycott, man.
Well, how about this? What if, just to say hypothetically, this is how silly it is. What if Iceman debuts at #1 and now you're included in the lawsuit?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say. This thing, you do have to be manageable. You have to.
They're not smart.
You got to get the ego out the way. All right. You don't like him. You don't like the little stupid faces he make when he rapping. That's fine. But at the end of the day, litigations are in order right now. And to your point, some of these reactors that have been eating very well off of this Drake situation, I would have consulted at the very least an entertainment attorney. I would have consulted some form. I would have consulted counsel somewhere if I find myself in a UMG lawsuit, even just being referenced.
So then they don't even understand, if Iceman did well, that actually shoots the conspiracy angle from Drake.
Yes.
But you going out there, whether it does well or not, don't go out there and be talking about boycotting. Whoa,
that's public,
right? Because actually, you're exactly right that the performance of the album at the end of the day doesn't matter. That if Drake wants to weaponize this as conspiracy, it's the fact that you expressed an effort to go against him and to boycott his. So at the end of the day, whether or not your boycott was effective or not doesn't matter. It doesn't undercut him saying there is a conspiracy, and it does involve these entities who are connected to these people who are the numbers on the album don't matter. It's your mouth yapping that matters. And they just don't fucking get that. So it's like, you're going to learn. We're all going to learn. We're all in class together, learning this together. It's just frustrating when, when he first launched this, and obviously not everybody watches everybody's videos and blah, 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 blah. But I definitely put a video out there saying, you're helping him. You don't know it. You don't get it because this is not your arena, but you're helping him. It's my arena. Let me explain how. And this is when reactors first got named, and then they immediately made videos. And I said, what's going to happen is this video is going to be in his next filing, because you're affirming or contradicting what is in the lawsuit where he originally named you, but he's going to take everything you say in this video, and then he's going to put it in and then what did we see in his revised lawsuit? He went back to, what did everybody say since the last time we've worked on this document? And now we know, as more things come out that are filed on the docket, that they're just circling like sharks on these content creators, just circling like sharks and getting closer and closer to who it is that they feel they need to target. And the only reason they've been able to do that is because these motherfuckers don't shut up.
And they go over them. Like when you brought up Google, that was a great point. Just like with X. Yeah. They could be like, whoever owns X, like, can you hand over the data pertaining to these particular profiles? Let's see if they have some type of connection to UMG. Are they being paid or botted to? And
they don't have to. All they have to do is serve a subpoena. They don't have to tell them what they want it for. All they have to say is, we have a court action right now. Here's the case number. Here's the jurisdiction. This entity we believe has this, and here's a subpoena for this. That's it. They don't have to justify it. They don't have to. We have a lawsuit. Here's a subpoena for relative material information that we believe is in your possession based on what we allege in the lawsuit. So all the content creators are wrapped into that, whether they realize it or not, like it or not, or accept it or not, or think it's rational or not. That also doesn't matter. Your opinion of this situation, when you don't know a fucking thing about the law, doesn't matter. And so people who think, oh, I'm just going to make a video to explain it, it's not that complicated. You are digging it for yourself. You are digging that hole for yourself. It doesn't matter if you like Drake, hate Drake. Drake hates everybody right now. So he's going to take advantage of anybody who is stupid enough to put themselves out there. And he has proven that he will twist and weaponize and, he'll play with what it was that you meant. He'll cut it up. He'll put it in a different order. Like, we can see that in the documents as he does it. And UMG's lawyers call him out. Actually, that's not what was said. Actually, he does it from reactors to fucking case law. They are brutal, ruthless. They don't give a fuck as lawyers. And they're lawyering masterfully. I will say that I'm glad that we did finally get a transcript this week. And even though I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to read this whole transcript online, I did. And I'm glad that I did, because the overwhelming response to people listening to this transcript has been, wait, what happens in court? Like, this is serious. Like, they're seriously arguing over whether or not the court can consider tailor-made freestyle. How can they do that? We all heard it. And that's when I said, well, remember when I told you there's a difference between the public record and the court record? Yeah, well, that's what they're arguing right now, is whether or not tailor-made freestyle is on the court record. So it doesn't matter that it exists and we all heard it. Not if UMG can't prove that it has already been entered onto the court record in a way that the judge can consider it, and not if there's not case law to back it up. All of a sudden, people were like, wait a minute. And it was remarkable to see people, instead of getting, and there's definitely people jumping into the chat and into the comment section like, this is dumb and I don't get it and I don't care and the judge just needs to throw it out. But for the majority of people, and it was thousands of people, it was one of the biggest lives I've ever had, were people going, oh, this is how it goes. And then tapping in, whether they understood every big word or knew what case law reference I was being referred to by a lawyer at the time. They largely picked up what everybody was laying down. UMG's lawyers, Drake lawyers, and the judge, of being like, oh, so this is why he wrote the lawsuit the way that he did. This is why da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yes, because he's trying to control the court narrative, which does not have to reflect the reality that we all witnessed and lived in real time, unless they can get it onto the docket.
And to your point, it's also about, this is why we have lawyers, is about who utilizes the law to the best of their advantage and who has the best argument. Like with tailor-made, there's things that they can make a case that's not in favor of Drake, but then also they can make a case in favor of Drake. What if his lawyers like, Drake knew during the middle of the battle, he's like, oh, they're gonna conspire against me and put false allegations, yada yada yada. Or they argue against it. They can also at the same time be like, well, how do we not know that, again, Drake just agreed to all of this in the battle and now he's having a tantrum? The whole point is, it's going to be who.
And that's exactly what the judge said. The judge was like, 3 months, 6 months later, what are we talking about? Words are words. He said what he said in tailor-made freestyle. And Drake's lawyer reminded him, that's not the discussion. That's not on the record. And then UMG jumped up and is like, it is on the court record. You can consider tailor-made freestyle. They know it is central to, UMG knows tailor-made freestyle is central to their argument about the context of Not Like Us. And so that's why the majority of the hearing was an argument about tailor-made freestyle. It was Drake's lawyer saying, the court doesn't need to worry its pretty little head with that. And it was UMG's lawyer saying, absolutely not. The court actually absolutely needs to consider what was said in tailor-made freestyle in order to even understand what was said in Not Like Us. And so for the people to actually see that and hear that be the argument, not the judge like, well, I heard it when it came out and I thought this, that, and the other. That's not real life. That's Judge Judy type shit. This is how it actually goes down. So when Drake's lawyers are like, well, we don't know about the impact of that song. Does it have a visual? We don't know. Does it have this or that or the other? We don't know. He's referring to the court record. And that is masterful lawyering.
You know what it was fantastic about that. And, hats off to what you do, because like I said before, at the top of everything, there's a lot of illiterate folks online that are just arguing straw man talking points, because keep in mind, Tailor-Made is actually a very critical piece because it was the only disc record that was removed.
So critical.
It was the only one. That's why when people are like, bro, why we keep getting hung up on this? I said, because that was the only one that was removed. So it's like it exists, but technically in the context of things, it was withdrawn from the battle. And so that's
and
one
he
of the
tried to withdraw it from the court record, and the judge noticed.
So so for them to like you said, to see what the real life implications in law that's being had here, it will be a great lesson for them. It's Sid and we literally saw it with when we was breaking down what was going on with Tory Lanez, and we said, bro, he's going to prison.
He's going to prison, bro. It was like, no, because when I watch reactors and platforms. Okay, we get like right now. People are trying to help him. They want to test the prints on the gun and all that, but
he lost that. He tried. He lost, but yeah.
Okay, so he lost that. That was their Hail Mary. The whole point is how they constructed that from the beginning. It's like y'all thought internet conversations wins in court. You have an eyewitness who said he shot me. You have other people who said that he was erratic during that day. Whether you feel he's innocent or not, his lawyers did a horrible job. He did a horrible job. So it's like, come on now.
They watched all them Denzel movies, and they love Training Day, but they missed that one. He says, "Not what you know is what you can prove." Like I'm like that. Is literally that's what you get. Reasonable doubt. It's your favorite Jay-Z record, but you don't know why he said reasonable doubt.
This is exactly why I don't get caught up with industry people, because it's not about what you could prove. I mean, it's about what you could prove, not what's true.
Yes, not what you know is what you can
That's
prove.
why I don't like getting caught up with no industry people, no people who set up people, none of that, because it's at the end of the day, it's about what you can prove. So I stay away from them people.
Yeah, it's not what you know, it's what you can. I love Training Day. They missed everything that crooked nigga said in the movie, because that motherfucker was a crooked evil ass teacher. He was a crooked evil ass philosopher.
He sure was.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna lie, when they shot him at the end, I was like, I know all the black women in the theater were crying, because I went with my mother. She's, oh, Denzel, why are you acting like this? But
it was hard. It was hard.
Boy, when he got shot, I said, oh man, let's wrap that up. This man was off the hook. But they missed that part, and that is what Drake's team is looking to prove. They're looking to have reasonable doubt about, look, there seems to be a collusion conspiring to conveniently devalue me at the time of renegotiation. There seems, and then the reactors are going online. And what do they say at ABSA? We getting Drake out of here. We all are talking together. We're on Zoom together. We're gonna make sure we get Drake out of here. And
Your Honor, I was not invited to the Zoom. We were not there. Just to be clear, we mind our good fucking black business. We're not invited to those Zooms.
Not part of that shit.
The lawyers are saying that's going in the lawsuit. We're gonna go ahead and file.
We're gonna go ahead and send a subpoena to Zoom to find out who owns the account, who joined the Zoom, what accounts are they attached to, blah, 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 blah. So it's a domino effect. Okay. Let's transition, because I said we're going to transition an hour ago, or we will never get out of here. This is about to be five hours long, and I'm not mad. I appreciate all of your time, all of your wisdom. I truly, truly love talking to y'all. But we're gonna switch and start to close off. So I'm gonna ask you some seemingly silly, but the channel takes these questions. They love these questions for my little interviews.
Okay.
So each of you don't have to agree. You can decide. You can give me your own answers. Let's say that aliens are not like xenomorphs. Let's say they're friendly. Okay. Let's say they're friendly, non-hostile, and they come and they knock on your door, and you are the first ambassador for the culture. What 3 albums are you going to play for them?
Uh-oh, I'm going to let Sin go first.
Why you gonna give me less time to think?
Ladies first. Ladies first.
I'm going to have to start off with jazz first, because I feel jazz is the greatest genre ever created. I feel like the founders of jazz, they were no one who was ass. I love hip hop, but you can find a lot of horrible hip hop albums.
Yeah.
I would have to start with jazz. I would have to start with I'm thinking about Ella. I'm thinking about her debut album, but then I'm also thinking about Miles and Coltrane and
Mm-hmm.
I know you like Giant Steps.
Giant Steps.
Love Supreme as well. Love Supreme.
Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
so
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Love Supreme.
okay.
And I think I'm gonna stay in jazz for right now. I was tempted to go with Michael or Prince too, because I just like that Thriller album and also Off the Wall and all that. I just feel like stylistically, also Thriller influenced a lot of anime. Like when you see 1988 dope anime films like Akira and stuff, where he wearing the red jacket and all that, a lot of that was influenced by Michael Jackson. But anyway, going back to, since we're talking about audio and not visuals added as well, I'm gonna stick with Love Supreme. I'm gonna also go with Bitches Brew with Miles. And I'm gonna have to go with Nina for third one. Actually, I'm gonna go with
that's a good one. That's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to switch over to Nina Simone. Let me think about which album from her I would advise the aliens to listen to. Because I feel like the aliens were like, I'm also trying to convince them to be on Black people's side.
Yes, of course, definitely. Everybody says that. I love it so much. Yes.
She had a lot of great albums, though.
Yeah.
I don't know which one to choose yet.
I mean, I feel like there's no wrong answer when it comes to Nina.
That is true. She's such an amazing artist. That is true.
At least have them listen to the record Cinnamon.
Well, Cinnamon, yeah, that's a classic
Cinnamon
song.
is good.
Oh, way around, where you gonna run to?
Yeah, just stay away from
stay away from
Timbaland remixes. But yeah, yeah. So you know.
Let me still think about that real quick about which album. I'm gonna let Prince go, and then I'll tell y'all which Nina album I'm gonna go with.
Okay. All right. So for the aliens, all right, since I wouldn't be aware of what language they would speak, all right, I would definitely let them listen to I think Miles Davis in a Silent Way.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, so you know that's probably my favorite Miles album, but I like the Electric Era dope as well. But definitely in a Silent Way. If I want to kind of update them to contemporary times, I would definitely say, you know, man, it's hard to skip over that man, Michael. That's crazy, but
that's what I was thinking about.
All right, but I would definitely tell them listen to the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. They would
my gosh, yay!
That one.
Yeah, I would want them to listen to that because you know, so they can get understand it, and then I was going to try to do Outkast or Nas, but then I thought about I would also have them listen to Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On."
That's a really good one.
That's a good one.
So just kind
of like, I'm gonna
throw
out Pastel Blues. That's the one I'm deciding to go with.
Okay,
Nina Simone. I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, something that speaks to the soul chakra. We can find it. We can dance later, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are my three.
Yeah, because you're introducing them to humanity, not like dancing. So I love the jazz focus because I think it's one of the greatest expressions of humanity.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, such an amazing genre, and even as a kid, I used to be so addicted to that era. Like when I used to
Mhm.
talk Cab Calloway and the Nicholas brothers, and it's the perfection in the art.
Yeah.
Like people singing at the highest quality, dancing at the
Yeah.
highest quality, playing instruments at the highest quality.
Recording with instruments in the studio with them.
Right.
Yes.
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 You know,
It's such a like I respect when people put in the work, and I know in the culture right now people get jealous and envy of people who are really dedicated to their craft, but when I see someone who's at a high level of skill
you
where they're a
respect that.
master, I love seeing that stuff
Yeah,
Me
because
too.
because you know they put in the work and dedication.
yeah, and you have well, there's so many things that have generated from jazz. Okay, so like even when you talk about abstract jazz or free form jazz, right? This is when we start getting into what white folks call ambient music, right? Which really,
Right.
you, yeah, because
Yes.
you get past the synthesizing music of like the Tangerine Dream and krautrock, but when you get into like this other stuff, and then it becomes about new age. So to Sin's point, I know for us, growing up, me and my little brother, it was our mother played a lot of jazz, classical music, then soul, and then later on, she had us. It was okay for us to listen to rap, but she wanted us to listen to jazz and classical music first, then
Mhm.
go into the other spaces. So she said
Mhm.
you can at least respect where this is pulling from,
Mhm.
versus being the other way around, because sometimes you can
Mhm.
have a limited palette. But I do see jazz, like we know there's a sentiment online by commentators that go into like their think pieces, and they're like, well, the white man took jazz away from us, and I always tell them, I says, all of the big stars in jazz are black people right now.
And now you're
You
making
know what
me
I'm
think
saying?
of also bringing up Ray Charles
Ray Charles is, yeah,
because he
well, he did
also how
country,
he did
everything.
country, jazz,
Yep.
R&B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, and to be fair, and sometimes when I do get a little irritated with some of the stuff that goes on, I immediately go back to like I just listen to jazz, or I don't want to hear any
Mhm.
voices. I want to hear
Yes.
instruments.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, those are no, this is dope questions too, by the way. So yeah, those are the albums we roll with. Do you share yours, or you're asking the guests?
I mean,
That's
they
it.
change every time I have a conversation for the culture with somebody. So today,
I get it. I get it.
today my answer is I think since you all covered the spread really well, which actually helps me pick other things easier, because I feel like you guys covered the spread really well, and I'm very confident with your choices, so I don't have to like make up for that. So I think today my 3 would be um I'm not sure what the album is, but I do think that they need that there would be one purely instrumental.
Okay.
And then let me think. Yeah, like the cello or something. Like one of those like kind of classical, like just instruments, no voices. So
Okay.
that would be a record. And then Aretha Franklin,
Mm.
I feel like is transcend whatever the transcends. Yes.
Yeah.
Transcends so much with her voice and her music, and I don't feel like you need to speak any language to get it, you
She
know?
did so many genres too.
She
She's
did.
so
And so many genres. That's why I'm telling you artists, I can't even think of the albums right now that I would pick. Um, and then when you all were talking, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill definitely popped into my mind, just because I feel like women rappers and women artists in period aren't represented enough, and we don't remember them enough, and I still slap that album, and the score.
Oh yeah,
Um,
classic right there. The score.
yes.
you could release the score today and it would run numbers. It's so timelessly good.
Yeah, I think it went diamond.
Yeah, it's just so
It's
17 million.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the score is just it's a masterpiece. It really is.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm gonna go like either jazz or classical, all instrumentation. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and then I think Bob Marley and the Wailers.
We're like Exodus.
That's nice
Yeah.
one
The
too.
Exodus album is
Yeah,
Bob Marley.
Exodus is fire, and he's got even when it was Bob Marley and the Wailing Wailers, I have
Oh
his
yeah.
entire I have the entire catalog of Bob Marley ever recording anything, no matter what they were called.
He was so
So
soulful with his voice too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanna
so
love you
yes.
and treat you right.
Yeah. That's
I get
crazy.
chills just hearing that.
And
It's so good, and I think
that's a
I
good
think
one.
there's some music that is like time capsule, you know?
No, that was a good one because
Yeah.
we was talking like I know when we hear like Thriller or Off the Wall, it's a magical album. I know when we hear Illmatic. I think people, they don't talk about Exodus enough. It feels like a
Yeah.
otherworldly realm album,
It
you know.
really does.
Yeah, so
It's so good. I mean, Bob Marley and the Wailers were prolific
yes, yeah,
in
yeah,
their musical ability that it's just like, and then when you listen to like literally everything that they've ever done, like 1 year for a full year, I don't even remember what it was that got me started on it, but I just went down a like, I want to know everything. I want to hear everything that they have ever done. I didn't even know that the Wailing Wailers existed, right? Because we only were shown the contemporary Bob Marley stuff, but they were so good. And I feel
yeah.
like remain one of those influences in music still to this day,
Oh
even
yeah,
if we're talking about them or not, or even if people know that that's the influence that they're hearing in music.
yeah.
It's Bob
People,
Marley and the Wailers.
yeah. It's Peter Tosh. Yeah, no, you're right about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
real revolution music.
yeah, of course. How many times they tried to kill him on top of that?
Okay. It was
And
real he was really focused on the freedom and liberation of a people and connecting us to the continent always, no matter where we were. Doesn't matter if you're in the Caribbean or in America, that the root was Ethiopia.
I
So the first time a lot of people were introduced to somebody saying, no, these are pearls on a string that all connect and you're on it too, was really, really powerful. It wasn't just like vibes, dude. You know what I mean? It was like it's vibes, but there is a much deeper
Yeah,
purpose and a much deeper reflection of our own divinity and our own ability, our own creativity, our own all of those things were encapsulated and reflected in his art in a way that was just so prideful and
mm.
so much love that he had for the people that I would think that hopefully the aliens wouldn't lobotomize us if they knew black people did that.
No, that is true. Like I love how, when the roster movement happened because you just get
You talking about
random
the one with
artists.
311?
No, not the God, no,
Go ahead,
not
sis.
the white version.
Go ahead.
But like
Go ahead.
when the roster movement, you would have just random people just put out their art. Like I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of this guy, but he did a song called what was it called? I mean, y'all love me more than the world to me. I said,
Sounds
y'all
familiar.
love me more than the world to me. I will climb the highest mountain just to be with you, my Lord. So it's like that type of stuff. I be messing with it, man.
Yeah. No, you're right about that.
It's our original folk music.
It
To
is.
me, that's
Yeah.
what reggae is. It's our original folk music, along with jazz and Delta blues and all of that. It just depends where in the diaspora you were, but it's all our traditional, as removed from the continent. It's our traditional folk music.
It's some strange. There is an isolationist theory that's happening right now. I think that's a part of the segregation that does take place on social media because, like reggae is influenced by Black American R&B and soul. This is why, like, even when you're breaking down what's going on with this lawsuit, and people are just kind of joking around, you had to think about our influence globally, right? So, for instance,
Yes.
one of my favorite performers is Fela Kuti, and even Femi Kuti as well. I love a lot of his work, but Fela Kuti says, when I looked to America and I saw Aretha Franklin and James Brown doing their Black Pride music, it inspired us to create basically Afrobeat, right?
Yes.
Or like what you talk about, for instance, people should go and check out, Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, the Wailers, and when they're asked about who were they influenced by, they'll tell you a lot of Black American artists, right? So then, in the point that you brought up about pride and what Sam was talking about, the spiritual connotation of it, okay, if especially with Black folks, yes, we got party and bullshit music. The people didn't had Rufus and the Funky Chicken to Soulja Boy Crank That, right? It's always been there, but
got made better for music.
Yeah, but the point is, on the other side of it, Black people, not just Black people, but I'm just speaking to us because people are talking about the culture and all of us. Black people have always revered any of their Black artists that help continue to trigger a sense of pride in their music. It's one of the things I said that was masterful that I did watch Kendrick do throughout it, and he has the body of work about soul and prideful soul music and the pride of the Black soul experience.
Not Lil Yachty?
Not Lil Yachty. Right? And Yachty, honestly, to me, when Yachty did that chicken head shit, that let me know how much drought that they are going through right now, that you had to do something so salacious. And it didn't even really, Black people got apathy with Lil Yachty right now.
It's like he's kind of slow.
Yeah, just like, bro, let's get back to what we were doing. Like, Jid done released all this dope music. Lil Sims done been out in these streets. We're listening to music where people get to, because rap, hip hop music, and what we're talking about, whether he talking about Buddy Guy. That's why I loved what Ryan Coogler did with Buddy Guy at the end of Sinners, and when we talk about when we talk about the legend of Solomon Burke or John Lee Hooker.
Solomon Burke, man, is a master class.
Yeah. Don't forget, like, even when you hear To Pimp a Butterfly, you're hearing blues, you're hearing soul, you're hearing jazz, and especially the times that we're going through, people want to feel more connected to the human experience because there's these mass propaganda machines that keep trying to dehumanize everyone everywhere. So I'm not saying people can't feel fly when they get their check, but they don't want to sit in the so icy age no more.
Well, now I'm thinking about the aliens need to listen to Solomon Burke. He has a song, I think it's called Free. And it says, none of us are free if anyone is in chain.
Yes.
None of us are free. Yeah. He has a lot of dope music. He didn't get his just due until Dirty Dancing, when Dirty Dancing came out, because when he did the song Crying, it did okay, but it became a mainstream success like decades later.
That's until 80s Saturday Night Fever came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, these are all good selections,
Okay, my last question. If you, and again, you can pick your own, you don't have to agree. If you could remove a song or an album, rap genre, from existence, what would it be?
Remove a song or genre?
No, remove a song or an album from the rap genre.
Damn, there's so many bad people out here. I mean, because off the top of me, like, Jack Harlow is an easy one. Like, for me, like, he's so boring and trash. But damn, Lil Yachty got bad albums and songs too. Lil Pump.
Anybody with Lil is questionable.
Honestly, if I were to remove a song, I would say Tupac's Hit 'Em Up. I would have to say Tupac's hit him up because the consequences behind
You're
it.
trying. I love this. I know what you're altering history. Good. Keep going. Cooking.
Yeah, I'm not saying somebody else would have done something, but I think for the first time to have that type of, and it, remember, even in the record, he says this ain't a freestyle battle. All you rap niggas getting killed with your mouths open. So this has nothing to do with music. This is other stuff. And the fact that, you know, corporations like Sin brought up earlier, that were built on even the blood of slaves. Let's just keep it real. Black Wall Street, the foundation of Wall Street. You know, this look, look, man, bro, you smoking, you tweaking, but I'm just saying realistically, it's a dope record. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, the lower chakra, the littles all get activated. It's a dope fucking record. But what becomes about it is that it created a bloodlust in the public eye. And my sister's older than me, so she says she remembered when the record came out.
Me
And
too.
so she said, you know, because in Atlanta, she's like, man, we just listen to Outkast. Then we hear this first off, fuck the, you know, all this other stuff, and they like, man, somebody. My sister said she knew somebody was going to die behind that,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and the reason why I'm saying if you just remove it, because the industry has not been sucking off of the corpse of Tupac and Biggie ever since. They've been recreating these moments. This is how we get this drill era. They've been recreating the dead rapper syndrome. Okay, Nipsey's dead, Pop Smoke's dead,
Well,
and
to
so
your point, the corporations with Tupac and Biggie's death, based off of everything that took place behind the scenes, it is a big lust that won't die.
it will not go anywhere.
And they
Yeah.
do really feed off of that particular point in history in
Who
hip
gonna
hop.
be the next Tupac? Tupac with
Yeah.
hair. Like, it's just, you know, and it's like
Tupac with hair.
yeah, and it's like it yeah, like, and it kind of like dwarfs.
But
to
you're right
me.
though, because they are always trying to. Oh, we got an East Coast West Coast beef. With who? Joey Badass. Pull yourselves together. But yes,
Yeah, and like, it, don't get me wrong, like there's a bunch of contenders, you know, but I just feel because it's not because of the terrible energy of Lil Pump. You can dismiss him, even like what Sin brought up with
Yeah.
Jack Harlow. To me, it was the brilliance of Tupac, the
Right.
brilliance of him as a poet, that when he went dark, just like he gave you Dear Mama, he gave you Keep Your Head Up, which Keep Your Head Up is one of my favorite songs, right?
Mhm.
But
Brenda's got a baby.
Tupac,
Mhm.
when he took that same magic that, and he went into the dark area, you have a generation of people that never witnessed Biggie walk nowhere. They didn't witness him limp nowhere, and they be like, fuck Biggie Smalls. And that's why we say, I said, that's the power of art, and also that's the power of the magician too. Tupac was a very high performing magician publicly. So when he was acting out and how he enunciated his words, one thing I've always said about Kendrick, just like Tupac, I considered him like, they got like Denzel Washington energy as far as vocalists go. They're very expressive
Yes.
language, very impactful word. So when Tupac said, all you niggas from New York are going to die, and everybody that I talked to from that era, especially the fellas, he was like, yeah, man, you know, I was out on the West Coast. If a New York nigga landed in our area, we was busting their head open, right? So if I can, as much as I like the song, just as anybody else on a cultural standpoint, on some battle stuff, it's like we're sitting and I have a conversation about mind your influence, and you have to mind how people will use your influence after you're gone.
It's a really good war song.
Yes.
But the corporations were able to pimp hip hop through it.
Yeah.
And knock off people through manipulating that particular song for certain events.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be the only song for me. You know, as much as I love the record, just on some Sonic shit, but it's just
Yeah.
like, look where we are today. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, Joey versus the West, who gonna get killed? You know, and it's just like, and they also, even that was the whole premise of drill music. You know,
Mhm. Yep.
will this nigga make it through the summer? You know what I'm saying? You know, how many rappers that came up and they've used materialism through magic and say they're this generation's Tupac, and they do die like Tupac.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they really been you know, pimping off of that, and they wore it around 50 Cent too, because there was this not Game of Thrones, there was this Running Man thing that went on when 50 was around. Like they was trying to see was he going to die, because he's been shot nine times, but will he die? So
right,
yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of things that have to be examined. You know, Interscope, UMG, a lot of people ate off of that instigation. A lot of people in hip hop to, you know, and they do reanimate his dead spirit every chance they get. I mean, god damn, ain't nobody, they reanimate him like every fucking year.
It's Black Mirror.
It's some Black Mirror shit.
Yes. What about you, Sin? Do you have a song or an album that you would Thanos snap out of existence?
If we're talking about removing something that becomes a problem in the culture later,
whatever the criteria is, you can be like, I don't like the beat, I don't like the hair, I didn't like the album cover. You don't have to be deep with it. You don't have to put all of humanity on your shoulders. Whatever reason you have is valid enough.
I want it to be whatever started the little pump stuff. So if it's Vanilla Ice, if it's Vanilla Ice, then I would want him to not exist at all, like removed from existence. Whoever is the starter point of how we get so much horrible rap music, whoever is the origin of that, I want that person going and their music.
Yes, I'm with you on that. And that's why my choice is whatever got Nicki popping.
The bars.
Whatever got Nicki going.
Whatever got Nicki popping, that's the one that needs to get erased, because god damn, the damage that was done then and is still being done today. And it wasn't that good.
Whatever got Nicki her Twitter account.
Yes. Yes.
That's funny. That's actually funny. Yeah, I love when the Nicki thing came out, and what was the first song I heard from Nicki was, I think the Piggy joint, but it was the one, actually it was the one with Big Sean.
Boopity boopity.
No, the hammer ass that record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the first one I heard. I just, I said, hey man, that's for whoever that's for.
Yeah, for whoever it's for. Yeah. And that was my feeling at the time too. You know what? That's for whoever that is for. And I would have stayed fine with that and been fine with that. But I listened to Foxy Brown.
Inga. Yeah.
I'm old. Yeah. I'm old. My grudges are old too. So it's like anything, you gotta tear down somebody who looked just like you so that you can have the only spot instead of demanding there be a spot for two, all of that shit. And just literally, it wasn't that good compared to what was out at the time and what women were doing in rap. It wasn't. It was audacious, and that's what got people's attention. And there's a difference between being good and being audacious. And Nicki's only good at being audacious and getting people's attention and bullying people. That doesn't mean you're producing the better product. And then I think, everything that has come since then has been, it was like a poisoning into the system of the over sexual. Now, yes, what's her name had one titty out and Foxy was doing her thing and da. But Nicki's sexualization of herself is different. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what do you think is in the water with the Nicki thing? Because I see a lot of guys be afraid to touch on her. Like, you know how some people, they just constantly make videos about somebody, like bringing up the things that they've done wrong. I don't see a lot of people doing that with Nicki.
They're scared of her.
What do you think it's about for
your barbs?
You think it's
the barbs? Yeah, they are. They're scared of. They make people when people dox you. When we talked about this at the very beginning, right? when you get doxxed and then people are, I couldn't believe the way people were coming at me, the like the channel, the literal mechanisms that people were able to find me to get me some kind of message to let me know that Lupe was on Instagram Live talking about me. These are not people that I know.
Right.
These are complete strangers who, how did you get access to that? How did you even know I had an account over here? Like all of that. So when that happens to just a normal person, and then you've got people calling your job saying you should be fired, so they're harassing other people. And then that, so that it's that wave of people who know no fucking boundary.
That wave
Nikki
of
knows
intrusion.
no boundary, and the Barbs know no boundary. So they're scared. And also because a lot of times they can't really back up what it is that they have to say about women either. They don't have a nuanced take or perspective. We're all females to them, and they don't even really have respect for female rappers anyway. So what the fuck are they actually going to say in a nuanced way? Like beyond just some, you know, misogynistic, the shit that they do to Cardi now, you know, which again, one could argue is fair or not fair based on what she writes or doesn't write. Nikki lip synced. I watched her. She used to lip sync her performances. And she was a joke. People spent years clowning her because she wouldn't perform live without lip syncing her own raps. So she was forced to prove, because then people started in the, is she an industry plant? What's going on here? How is it we're putting this one above bitches we know can literally spit on a mic because the spit is hitting your face while they're spitting on the mic? How did we put her above? She had to come out. I can't remember if it was the Grammys or something, but I know that it was a televised performance and rap live for the first time with her voice to convince people that she actually could. Broad was going on tour, lip syncing. But yeah, I don't feel like she has contributed anything to rap or hip hop that we need to preserve. And so whatever it was, whatever the album was that made her go, that's the one that I would revoke from hip hop history. Because I don't feel like she's given us anything where we're like, you know, we need to put that in the vault and protect it as a part of our, you know, the history of the culture.
You know, that's interesting because even when you bring up like Foxy and of course Lil Kim, you know,
that's who I was thinking of with the breast.
Yeah.
Lil Kim, yeah.
Around that same time, people forget that Lauryn Hill was one of the better selling artists around that time, and you know,
yes,
there were some other things that was happening
because she was a conscious rapper. She was held harmless from the conversation, right? It's like, well, of course there's Lauryn. She's over there with, you know, MC Light and, you know, the ones that they're doing that conscious rap. Nikki, you know, represented herself to be something else, I would say.
The men sabotage Lauryn. Yeah, I know people would get shocked when we say this, but Moon Cricket Eminem, who was calling black people moon crickets at the time, he went on a campaign calling Lauryn Hill racist.
Yeah, because
there was no evidence. And then they went on Howard Stern calling her racist, and she had to try to defend herself with Wyclef. But it was like weird because y'all know in 2025, like when we have conversations about celebrities or people, would be like something really serious or serious allegations. They canceled her or nothing.
Yeah. Just to say like, okay.
But Nikki, because she wouldn't collaborate with you. Because she wasn't interested in collaborating with you.
That's what happened.
You went out and told everybody that she was fucking racist.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous because that is what it was. Yeah. She was not interested in collaborating with him. And, you know, I've definitely gotten some flack from people who, and this goes back to what you were observed about the clips when they sat down with the New York Times and they were like, so what do you think of your white fans? You know, I think they were digging and fishing for very specific things, and neither Pusha nor Malice gave them that. They gave a a comfortable answer, but they didn't give them what they were looking for. I don't give a shit what white people have to say about the culture. I'm disinterested in your opinion. It is completely irrelevant, and I could do without it. That would be the thing, actually, that I would delete from the history of the cultures. White people opening their fucking mouths for any reason whatsoever, or typing on a keyboard about anything that we fucking do. I would let that go. But you know, this idea that we kind of, you know, we have to play their game, or you have to get with that person and collaborate with them because they're the, you know, they're the hottest shit going. By parentage, she's a Marley, basically, right? That's who she had children by. She had children by the original people who wrote Crazy Bald Heads.
Right. Yeah.
Why is she going to get up with Eminem and then make a song? She was like, I am entirely disinterested in that white man, and I will not be collaborating with him on any fucking thing. And don't call me Lauren. You can call me Miss Hill. And they were like, she's racist. She's elitist. She's trying to play her little guitar music. Canceled. And it was in a month. She was here, and then she was gone.
Oh yeah,
it was
actually,
crazy because go ahead, you can go first. But I was just like, she can act, she can sing, she can rap. But go ahead.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm gonna let you go because I do want to say this. Okay, when we talk about MCs, right? There's two people, because my big sister, when I was younger, the first time I really heard like a dope hip hop record outside of Naughty by Nature's hip hop array, because she was a big fan of them. Of course, in the South is Outkast and all of them boys, but it was the first time I heard they had this thing where they was doing retro videos at the time, and they put on Nas's "It Ain't Hard to Tell."
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard anybody that flowed with melody like that. You know, it was just
I excelled in like his words, how it flew, and he was like esoteric history and all that. It was fly.
Yeah, it was like the other person was when I had I think it was like at a Goodwill when I was a kid, and I had got my hand on, like, you know, you can go to the sections where they got like, you just be seeing random like BG albums, and then it was next to the Fuji. So I guess somebody put Fuji's and BG's in the same space, but I had just grabbed it and it said the score. And every track that Lauryn Hill was on, I said, how's she rhyming without breath? Like I didn't hear anybody that really was rhyming that way. So the crazy part about it, so when we start having conversations about hip hop, you're right. They malign her to just conscious MC, but then they'll say like Nas can be top tier in conscious. He can be top tier in pseudo mafia gangster talk. He can be top tier here, is there. But you know, like with Lauryn, yeah, man, she was really on that conscious shit. When Lauryn Hill on the Fugees, most of her verses was sophisticated ignorance. You get what I'm saying? It was high. She was giving you the same light and dark energy that Nas was giving you the same word plays. And a lot of times she hop on a track, she usually outspit a lot of people. And I do think it was interesting in that conversation, and to where Sin is going. I'm gonna let her finish her point on that, because we do consider him with Tupac his acting ability, script writing capability, and with Lauryn, it was easier to get that energy, that somebody that can really rhyme, but that can act and also could sing. But it was easy to get her out of here, you know, just off of a rumor. Now on the back end, the reason why I say Drake is the industry's karma, because now that they want to have a standard they didn't have for Lauryn, they're like, well, we need to have the standard to get Drake out of here. And guess what? It's a lot harder to get him out of here, because realistically, y'all haven't operated by a comfortable standard since we've seen them get rid of a premier. I think she was sold 13 million at the time with Miseducation. And when you truncate that space, it don't just allow for that. That's why if y'all got rid of Lauryn, it was nothing for y'all to get rid of Lil Kim. You get what I'm saying?
The entire industry went up against Lauryn Hill. You know, people talk about her flaws right now. Who gives a fuck? Like, if you talk about the you got people messing with kids in the industry and that type of stuff. But with Lauryn, everybody want to be so hardcore with their criticism toward her. Like, She literally sung in Sister Act 2, His Eyes is on a Sparrow with Tanya, and they both sounded amazing. I love the soundtrack, by the way, to Sister Act 2.
Me too.
And then she, as a group, she does well with the Fugees, then she does well with her solo act. To me, it's like, if y'all can get rid of people who have Renaissance energy in them, then I don't want to talk to you. Like, you look, Eminem can rap. There's some I like the Eminem show, but I don't like his energy more than what Lauren was able to provide. I could get movies out of her if her career continued on, because she showed she could act. I could have heard some great R&B music from her. I get in some good rap bars, some great rap. Like, man, get this white boy out of here.
If you go back and listen to MTV Unplugged, her album, it was. I'm telling you, it was so bad. They was like,
they were so mad about that album.
Yeah, and I'm like,
they wanted to burn her at the stake.
It was crazy because I'm like, hey, Jay-Z's doing the same shit with the Roots. What's the problem?
Yep.
So that at that point, that's why I say, like, I can only go so far with this castration of Drake, because okay, y'all talking about for the culture to get him out of here, but y'all got Lauryn Hill out of here quicker. You know, y'all got
she didn't even say nothing. The big controversy, I remember as a kid, it was all on ABC everywhere. Lauryn Hill said that she wouldn't care if her music just stayed in her community.
Lauryn Hill hates the Jews.
Lauryn Hill hates.
Lauryn Hill said she would never ever speak to a white man in her whole life. It was like, wait, I don't think that's what she said, though.
She simply said one simple thing. The reporter asked her about her success. She said, "You know what? Even if it was only people in my community who listen to my music, I would have been grateful and happy, because that's who I was trying to get the message to." I don't know how the fuck they spun that into anti-whiteness.
She was an easy target. This is behind you, because they come on now. The corporate heads pay attention to how they treated the D-Barn situation. You don't think they know that? Oh, okay, clearly black women, it's like they're a weaker group in hip hop. Let's get them out of here. Because look, they got rid of Lauryn Hill they got rid of Lil Kim.
And remember, she was difficult.
Oh, that's the one they always throw on black folk, especially
especially women. If you're difficult, well, give us an easy one. We want an easy one.
Hey, you seen them? You seen them do this periodically, because I watched them get rid of Lil Kim between commercial breaks, and I thought that was crazy. And, like, I was like, damn, that's fucking crazy.
That's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. Yeah. And some things never change, right? Once we are not useful, we are disposable in their systems. So it's going to be an interesting couple of years. It's going to be an interesting couple of years. I feel like at this rate, the change in the industry, the change in society is like exponential. You know, it's like we wake up every day and shit has turned over twice already. And so a lot of it is just, keep your head on a swivel and protect your peace, but don't take your eye off of what it is that they are doing. Because even though we've crossed over a threshold into the unknown, we are going to discover what that unknown is at some point in time. And we won't understand it if we're not paying attention to the transition to get there. So, and sometimes that's all you can do, in a day, is just maintain your sanity and your head on a swivel so that you can be as prepared as possible for whatever comes. You only get AI artists or AI music, or now they're trying to deport all the black people out of the country, or whatever the thing is that they're on. We'll still be here in some capacity, and our community will still be here, and the culture will still be here. And so, what for me, my prayer for our collective humanity is that I hope we have the wherewithal when it really hits the fan, because I still don't think we're there yet. I think they're just testing fans. But when it really hits the fan, I hope we have the wherewithal to protect what matters, which is us, and, support each other through to the other side of the unknown, where we will be, and where I hope we thrive.
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
I agree.
Yeah, the
Eloquently
work you're
stated.
doing is giving them more focus and clarity, because
Well, you are too. It's the work we're doing it. It's the work that we're doing. Y'all are doing the exact same thing. We're not a monolithic people, so it may look different, it may sound different, but when I look at the channels where I'm listening, obviously we've never met, but when I'm listening to, one of the reasons why I like lives is because people are going off the cuff, right? You're not reading a script. You're not, oh, let me re-record that. That didn't, you're going off of the cuff. And so whether you're right, whether you're wrong, whether you're sensible people, right? You're sensible people, and you're trying to have, even if you're kikiing and having a laugh or even doing a bit, it's coming from a place of sense. And I think that that's a word that we don't use a lot. We don't talk about it a lot, but if we look at the generations before us, that's how our grandparents described people in our community. It's how they described children and grandchildren, was, that boy ain't got no sense. Well, that's a sensible young man. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, that's the pearls in the swine. That's the reason in Stupid Don't Sit at the Same Table. It's who's got sense and is willing to protect it and exercise it, and who simply doesn't give a fuck.